Good afternoon and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to round one of the British Drift Championship 2018. My name is Ian Waddington, and as always, I am joined in the tower by Eddie Power. Eddie, brand new season, brand new slate, lots of new rules, lots of new layout, a whole new BDC. Again, it's looking good. We just see practice for the Pro-Ams. How are you feeling?
Yeah, really good. You know, it's great to be back here in the BDC for 2018 after a super exciting and impressive 2017 season. The build up to this season has been really big. All the guys are coming out trying to push themselves as far as possible. Some incredible builds. And, you know, the real question is, can the UK drivers retain their crown this year? It's going to be a very exciting season to see how it unfolds. It
is going to be very exciting to see how it goes. And you know what, watching practice, I'm not sure how this is going to swing, Eddie. We're going to head over to our judges, who, of course, this year we have sitting in the hot seat, head judge Kieran Hines, also joined by Ryan Pothecary, and this year, taking up the third seat on our judging panel, is none other than David Egan. So we're going to head to David Egan now, and he's going to give you a rundown of the rules and what those guys are looking for as we head into qualifying.
Thanks, guys. It's a little bit different this year. We have changed things up again, and it's sort of coming towards an alignment with the rest of the world, and we're trying to create a sort of a judging system that everyone can understand worldwide. Essentially, we have some new additions, and we'll talk you through them as we go through the day, but right now we're going to worry about qualifying and that qualifying line of what these guys are going to try and achieve to get themselves into the top 32 later on today. So essentially, myself, Ryan, and Kieran are going to basically talk you through the track as we go through the day, but right now we're worried about that 100-point run. So that's essentially what's going to happen here. Every guy is going to take to the track with 2 non-consecutive runs, and we're going to score them, and our average is going to basically end up as their final score at the end of the 2 runs. What's a little bit different this year than other years is that we're now splitting that score. So each of us have a tablet in front of us which controls the scoring system, and essentially what we're going to do is break that 100 into a couple of different categories. 60 of that will be based on their line, their perfect line around the course that we've laid out in briefing, and another 20 will be for style, and another 20 will be for angle. So style essentially is the stuff we want to see. Big transitions, flicks, close to the wall, lots of fluidity, lots of smoke, looking good out there. Angle, again, you could be on a great line, but you're going to be very little angle, which essentially makes it a lot easier. So we want to see guys on a extreme angle, getting those clipping points, keeping the speed high, and plenty of excitement. It's not the most complicated system in the world. It's exactly what everyone wants to see, but we're going to be judging it a little bit more critically today, and we'll be relaying our scores as we go through. Right now, we'll be able to hopefully to have a look at the track that we've laid out here in Rockingham Motor Speedway. It's a little bit more difficult than some of the layouts we've done here before, especially than the one last year, a lot trickier. So as you can see, the guys leave the start line, and there's going to be some cones placed on either side of the track, which are a little bit new for this year too. They go from 3 to 2 to 1, and that essentially is basically for a visual reference for us as a judge to see how early they're initiating, to see how aggressively they're coming into that first corner. By that one cone is 3 to 2 to 1, it's just in front of that first clipping zone. We definitely want to see them sideways by that point as they start the scoring zone. Then it's a large, wide line out to clip 2, staying right to that white outer line. Again, the line is an outer line mostly away the track. Rear wheels a couple of feet from that will lead you to clip 3, which is on our first wall run. Now at that point, they should be well out on the wide line of the track. Wrong line there, and they're going to have some trouble with that wall. Then it's a critical part of the track, which we'll be looking at for the rest of the run, which is the transition. Get the transition wrong, and the rest of the course is not going to work for you. That's the transition between clip 3 and clip 4. You want a late transition there to make sure they stay sort of midline on the track to get the end of the wall at clip 4, which will send them out on the wide arc to clip 5. Then it's a very, very interesting downhill, slow speed section, which is actually the most dangerous part of the track. They're coming from a high speed arc into a very slow, sharp corner onto a wall, which we've seen a couple of guys have struggled with in practice. They've got to tag the end of that wall, then it's another snappy transition up to clip 7, right to the edge of the course, and it's full throttle along the wall in clip 8 and across the line. Sounds easy. We watch practice. It ain't. It's a very tricky track, and it's one that's really going to challenge the guys, especially in Pro-Am. We probably have mixed conditions today on the track too, which we'll be taking into account. But for those of you guys who want to see it, how it works in practical terms, we do have a virtual representation of what that perfect run is. So before we see these guys take to the track, we'll be able to take a watch of that and be able to say, this is kind of the perfect line we're expecting from these guys. So as you can see, guys, they take off the line, they clip that outer wall, and then they're on that wide arc. Now this is why this tagging that last wall right at the end to stay on that wide line. Too much angle there and you're going to slow down. Right to the edge of the zone, and this is where it gets really tricky. You got to hit sort of the front brakes, keep the car almost on angle. Very easy to spin there as you tag that last wall run, second last wall run. Quick snappy transition, full throttle across the finish line. Maybe a tag for extra points, but we're expecting guys to be close. We don't want to see them making contact with the wall. That will be a deduction. We want a lot of speed out there. And you know what? This is going to be a very tough test for these guys, and we've put out a very tricky track for them. So it's going to be a very interesting qualifying session. We're looking forward to it.
Thank you, Dave. Yeah, Eddie, not easy at all. And as Dave explained there, a very tight technical course, not been laid out to make this easy for these drivers. And we see in practice a lot of guys getting it right, getting it wrong. It's going to make today very interesting.
Yeah, I mean, a big change in this track compared to how it was set up last year. And, of course, we are starting the weekend with our Pro-Am drivers. So they are essentially the guinea pigs for for what it is that we're looking for, or for what's going to happen over the course of the weekend. Obviously, the Pro-Am's out today, and then the Pro event, main event tomorrow, with unprecedented sales for tickets going into this weekend as well. So a lot of hype built up around this weekend, Ian.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, like you say, on social media and pushing this, and this has been unbelievable. A lot of attendance here today, a lot of guys in attendance watching, and like you say, Eddie, not to be missed out tomorrow. But we are ready to get underway with our Pro-Am qualifying. And I do believe on the line for...
So just before we actually go to the line, judging criteria, obviously Dave has talked through, there has been some rule changes. We're just going to run through very quickly what it is that's expected of each driver as they come out here now for their first of their 2 qualifying runs.
So each driver will compete 2 non-consecutive scored runs. Highest score after both runs will count as the final score. Each run is scored out of a maximum of 100 by our 3 judges. Each judge scored is split 60 for line, 20 for angle and 20 for style. The average score from all 3 judges will count as a driver's run score. Driver's run will be deducted points for momentary loss of drift, understeer, incorrect line, dropping 1 to 3 wheels off of the designated circuit, significant contact. Drivers will be rewarded for extreme entry, increased speed, fluidity, snappy transitions, correct judging line, precision, proximity to the outer clipping zones. Drivers will be scored a 0 for complete loss of drift, spinning out, dropping 4 wheels, extreme understeer, driving a section of the course. So yeah, Eddie, that is it. Not easy, like we keep saying, and we do stress it's not easy. We've watched the practice session this morning, and it is very, very technical. A lot of guys getting it, but you know, a lot falling foul to falling offline, wrong transitions. Yeah,
good conditions out there in terms of how dry it is, but of course the track temperatures would be quite low, so quite difficult to get heat into your tires to aid the grip levels around the track. So some areas these guys not getting as wide as they would like, but you know, we've only seen practice, they're just dialing it in. Competition is a completely different story altogether. So with that being said, it looks like we have our first driver ready on the line, who will be a Drift Cup qualifier, Dan Tyler.
Yep, Dan Tyler, all the way from Essex, the 24-year-old driver, representing AJD Transport. This guy came from King of the Ring in Essex, if you're familiar with that. An oval circuit. This guy won the championship, came to Drift Cup 3 weeks ago, and absolutely dominated Eddie. His chase driving is nothing to be laughed at all. This guy has no fear and knows how to drive this 328 BMW Touring.
Yeah, I mean, Dan doing a really good job here. This is the first run of the day, and he's nailing it so far. Look how deep he's getting into those clipping zones. 2.8 litre M50 engine, 210 brake horsepower.
And a little wall run there, Eddie, just to try and get some extra points in the bag there for Dan Tyler. And you know what?
I think this one's going to go top.
Yeah, I mean, I said it earlier on, this guy is someone to watch. His driving style is very different to a lot. His chase driving is phenomenal. So
that run will give give us a good idea as to how the judges are scoring this weekend, because they had a lot to work with there. Dan doing a really good job of getting on the line. He was quite fluid, very few mistakes as he went around. So interesting to see where the judges will score based on that run. A lot of their runs now will be based off what they've just seen on that particular run from Dan. Dan, of course, building a 1JZS14 at the moment. It's just not finished, so he had to come out in his 2.8 BMW estate as we await the score to come in from the judges. So, of course, our drivers will come out on track in no particular order this time around, and a 50.3 overall. You can just see, if you are watching at home online, you can see the individual score from each judge, but the overall score 50.3 for Dan Tyler on his first run, so not bad for him. And as we say, often these drivers come out and they try put in a safe run on their first attempt and then go and push that little bit extra on the second run.
Exactly, and we move it along to the next guy on the line, which will be Martin Cowley, the machinist from Rushton. Rocked up the other weekend, won the event, Eddie. Really come out, you know, aggressive driving style. Didn't look too comfortable earlier on in practice, but started to shine through when he started chasing some of the Irish guys that are at the top of their game. And not a bad line so far from Martin Cowley. Shy off of the wall But a nice early transition there.
Yeah, Martin just not able to get that all the way out to the wall, but gets back on that wide line. But again, just offline, and that's what's going to make this slow section of the course quite difficult for him. You need to stay wide in order to make that fluid and flow nicely. And Martin doing an okay job there, but again, just not getting as deep into those clipping zones that we'd like to see. You mentioned with Martin, the machinist, but involved in the Formula One industry, which is very interesting. So we await those scores to come in from the judges, and again, just those first few runs coming in, and it'll give us an idea as to what it is the judges are looking for and how they're going to score particular runs.
So just waiting for that score to drop in. Just getting used to our new system here, so bear with us if you're watching at home live or you are in attendance for the short breaks in
lots of advancements have been made in our systems this year, and you can see there Martin's score popping in, a 45.3 for Martin, and again just not doing enough to get a solid score in him. He's going to have to really build on that to try and get himself in a comfortable position, but we're only 2 drivers in, so very hard to see where he's going to place after the first round of qualifying runs. We move it on to Thomas Kirkland, the managing director from Anglesey. He's representing Landmark Surveys. This is a 3.5 V6, 286 brake horsepower, 350Z.
Yep, 350Z. Oh, and Thomas Kirkwood just dropping a wheel there, but manages to pull it back online as he transitions nice and early off of the wall, gets on a good line, heads to the wall. Exactly what Judge Kieran Hines was looking for in briefing, nice and wide into that outer zone, and you could just see Thomas there scrubbing speed, but has to use the foot brake and the handbrake quite a lot there to...
Yeah, it looked as though Thomas hesitated a little bit, possibly where he had no need to. Might have dropped a wheel on another occasion had he kept the shoe in there, but scrubbing too much speed and then having to correct quite a bit.
So as we wait for Thomas's score to drop in.
Thomas, another driver qualifying from the Drift Cup competition as well, so first time competing at this high level.
Yeah.
A lot of people say it's regarded as a Pro-Am championship, but there's nothing amateur about it.
No, the level of these guys, we watched it earlier in practice, they were driving unbelievably, and to see these guys have a big break in the off-season, jump straight back in their cars and, and after building them as well for all that time and getting out there and putting in some fabulous runs, it just goes to show that these guys really are the top of their game.
And it was at this round last year where we saw Oliver Evans make a name for himself. He was a virtual unknown to many people outside of a small community who might have fans or close family relatives who didn't know him. But so chance for you to make a name for yourself here. Thomas Kirkwood's score drops in and a 32.7 for him, and he will definitely want to improve on that. Few little errors just creeping in. Did have a good line through through a lot of the run though. Yeah, exactly. Very, very good fluid line, but just a few errors maybe that we didn't see. We move it along to the next person on the line, which is Jake Rolls, the 26-year-old car painter from Shoeburyness, representing Absolute Customs, Walton Motorsport and Strongflex SCS Delta. Yeah, borrowed car here for Jake Rolls. Yeah, you may have remembered this car from last season. Mike Walton. From such seasons as 2017. Yeah, Mike Walton muscled this car around Teesside with many clutch kicks last year. As his S13 wasn't quite ready for action, and you know what? Jake Rolls seems to be taking up where he left off, because this is looking very good again. But you can just see how tricky it is in that slow section as they try to transition onto that wall. A lot of drivers getting caught out there, but Jake getting through it nicely now. And he tags the wall, hand out the window as he crosses the line. Nice from Jake Rolls. Yeah, and these guys, these 4 Drift Cup guys, will be looking to earn a spot in our top 32, because that will automatically give them a Pro-Am BDC license. So lots of up for grabs. A lot up for grabs, a lot on the table for these guys as we move it along. So Jake Rolls' score just dropping in from the judges now. So the judges just getting used to their new technology. Yeah, Kieran Hines just taking a while. Kieran Hines just taking a while to adapt to his new tablet. It's. Kieran still has a Nokia 3210. So yeah, these tablets. So there we go. Jake Rolls scores a 67, so a 67.7, which is a good score. Could see that
as we head in later on to the top 32. Middle of the pack maybe that top end of that top 16. So we move it along to the next guy on the line, Carl Farrar.
Yeah, part-time drift taxi driver for the Three Sisters, full-time rock star. Representing Colour Sound Experiment, Two Roads Motorworks, BM Auto Bodies, and What Would Dango Do?
What would Dango do? We are about to find out as Carl Farrar initiates for his first run. Oh, and do you know what? Looks like he drops 3 wheels there, Eddie, on initiation, so going to have to keep an eye on that one.
Yeah,
but as for now, Carl Farrar keeping the pedalling and keeping going.
Yeah, Carl rocking the SR20. Not many of them left these days. At a modest 360 brake horsepower. It's amazing how the sport has progressed over the last number of years. 360 brake horsepower would have been championship winning material back in the day. Carl, another man with the hand out the window as he crosses the line. I'm not sure that run is going to set the scoreboards alight, unfortunately for him. But certainly plenty more in the tank for Carl Farrar, but he's really going to have to pull it out of the bag, you feel, Ian, on his second run.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure how the judges are going to score that. To me, in my opinion, it looked like he dropped 3 wheels after the initiation, and you could just see, you know, he did a bit of an opposite flick as you look towards the start line. You got those 3 cones, 3, 2, 1, and then the first clipping point. Just as a, like Kieran Hyde's, David Egan was saying earlier, just as a visual representative of how fast and how far back these guys are initiating, it looked like after that little opposite flick, it kind of carried too much speed through clip 1 and put him off track. But we are about to find out as the scores are getting inputted from the judges. And there we go, a 48.7 for Carl Farrar for his first qualifying run. So not too damaging. Judges deeming, you know.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's early stages. Very hard to gauge where that's going to leave Carl after the first round of runs. But certainly, you know, you'd expect that mid-40s could be really struggling to qualify for a top 32. We got to move it on though to our next driver, Ryan Caldwell, the 16-year-old student from Strabane in County Tyrone. Debuted this car here towards the end of last season. It's a 750 brake horsepower, 2JZ, 610 foot-pounds of torque. It's got G-Force, gearbox, Winters diff, camber arms from TDP and lock kit, BC coilovers, TDP tuned. This thing is an absolute monster.
Yeah, and absolutely flying so far, Eddie, is the young Ryan Caldwell. Perfect line, really nice and wide onto that outer zone. Just what you want to see, just shy off of that clipping zone, but gets it all the way out to the wall. And you know what? Very, very impressive from the 16-year-old student there. Big things expected from this guy this year. You know what? I see him gelling with that car more and more. He drives it. You know, for IDC, when I came over that last for the final round, that guy was absolutely nailing it in that car. So
he said, new car, new him. He's coming. And he's going to be on form from start to finish this year. So that's you know, a statement of intent from Ryan Caldwell as he looks to take his debut championship. Can he make his way into the you know, to the podium today, and you know, more importantly for him, I suppose, into that pro competition tomorrow? Because certainly pro is befitting of a driver of his standard, and of course the car as well. So the judges' scores drop in, and wow, Ryan Caldwell sets the bar nice and high with an 82 dead for Ryan Caldwell, and things are starting to heat up here quite quickly here. So Ryan Caldwell with an 82, Jake Rolls with a 67, some of our other drivers with a little bit of work to do to get up to that standard. We move on to our next driver, which will be Alexis Drew, the 40-year-old fire-started
the twisted fire starter. Yep,
Yeah.
from London, sponsors a G3 Pro. He said he likes jungle music and he likes to pretend that it's still 1994. Well, unfortunately, it's not Alexis Drew. It is 2018. It is 10 years at the British Drift Championship. And this guy, Eddie, you know what? This guy's been in the championship from the first ever year. So, you know, driving way back in 2008. Just waiting for Alexis Drew to pull up to the line. And you can see there now on the side of the screen, we do have a qualifying order just popping up there so you can see our top 5 drivers. Caldwell way up there, and
yeah, so all part of the new graphic systems that we're working. Of course, for any of the guys in attendance, you won't be able to see any of this, but if you're watching it back at home, you'll see what it's all about. So we will have a monitor here tomorrow, of course, for the pro event, and if you are here, you'll be able to see exactly what it is we're talking about, but that information coming up. So our next driver, Alexis Drew, 2JZ 500 brake horsepower, representing G3 Pro.
Yeah, looking very, very fluid so far is Alexis Drew. Nice wide line. Oh, and just drops off, scrubs to speed too early there, Eddie. You can just see as he come into that clipping point, dumped 5.5. He slowed too much speed, didn't make it to the wall. He had to make quite a little bit of steering correction to get back online to clipping point 6 and 7. But you know what, made it to 8 on the wall and got it across the line.
Yeah, that one error I think may cost him quite significantly.
So there we go, Alexis Drew's score drops in and it's a 56.7, so a 56.7 there for Alexis Drew as we move it along to our next driver, which will be Paul Beachy. Paul Beachy, the 31 water engineer from Ramsgate.
Not sure exactly what a water engineer does, but
we'll leave that one to your imagination, Eddie. Representing Washloo, APW Engineering, Dynamic Detailing, NB Automotive and Evolution branded clothing. 535 horsepower under the bonnet of this S14 Mazworks SR22. And listen to that, Paul Beachy absolutely giving that car death. You can see him using all the lock from the wise pad. Just dropping the wheel ever so slightly. But grabs a load of understeer. You know what? I didn't want to curse him, but looked to me like Paul Beachy's had this issue all morning. On initiation, that car just grabbing a whole load of understeer on initiation, never really managed to put a good lap together, and that looked so good, that run, until that point. So maybe an underlying issue with that car. That will be a 0, I'm guessing, Eddie, incomplete run there, loss of drift, and yet there we go, make it official, a 0 on the board for Paul Beachy's first run. So all the work to do for him in his second run. We move it along, Eddie.
Yeah, not what Paul would have wanted there. It's a long off season to come out and put a 0 on the board on your first qualifying run. He's going to have all the pressure on his second run. Now our next driver on the line is Adam Elder. He's from Zestino, UK. Or born in. Well, he works for Zestino.
He works for Zestino, UK. Yeah, this guy.
It's all coming together.
It's all coming together slowly but surely. It's been a long off season. This guy, more commonly known to be on a Gymkhana grid circuit, said, you know what, he's going to give some drifting a go this year, and he looked good in practice, few mistakes, but held it together, and you could just see that understeer coming into effect there on that first turn, catching a lot of drivers out, Eddie, but Adam Elder holds it together, gets nice and personal with that inner wall, keeps in the throttle, and starts to get on a good line now.
Yeah, getting on a really good line. A tricky entry, that, because it's almost, some drivers just getting caught between gears on entry. It's quite a short entry into that lead up, but this turning into quite a comfortable looking run here for Adam Elder as he crosses the line in his debut qualifying run in the BDC.
Yep, so Adam Elder, he says he's 18, and I'm going to go with that's a little bit, that's not the truth. It's not the truth, he's not 18.
So you're going to call him out?
I'm calling Adam Elder out on his age there.
Well, maybe he has the mind of an 18-year-old. There's no harm in that. So, can Adam Elder top qualifying? Needs to be better in 82. So you can just see a lovely aerial shot there of the grandstand, the paddock.
A little cloudy, Eddie, but
do you know what?
It's just right.
We're starting to see a few breaks in the clouds. It's a little bit cold here, but it's dry. The score drops in for Adam Elder, a 47.3. And you can just see all our drivers, of course, getting a photograph taken this morning in their race suits. Very professional. Very
super professional this year with our new graphics layout and our new system. So we move it along to the next driver, Hayden Crickshank on the line, 46-year-old managing director of Event Lighting Company from London. Piloting the 600 horsepower 2JZ. And look at that, looks like it wouldn't be missed off the circuit in Ibiza in Japan, which is where he's frequently found doing drift practice days.
Yeah.
Hayden throwing that big old car in.
Yeah, this car, of course, formerly owned by Declan Hicks and Carl Ferrar. So Carl Ferrar getting a chance to watch his old car out on track in the hands of Hayden. And what can he do? Doing a nice job so far in as he gets nice and deep into that wall zone. Can he keep it wide on the line here again? You can just see them having to scrub that speed, but does a nice job, keeps on a good line. And this is where the tricky transition gets back towards the final sections. And Hayden doing a really strong job there as he crossed the line. Guys, put your hands together for Hayden Quickshank.
Yeah, I mean, you know what? Not an impact, not a lot of impact in that run, but technically the fluidity, the how he put that car on circuit, absolutely flawless. So I don't know if he's impacted his style, we'll get a very, very good score. But you know what? For me, technically, that was a very, very good run for Hayden.
Very technically correct.
So we wait for Hayden's score to drop in.
You can see the judges there working furiously. Ryan, of course, our computer whiz
genius
over there. well versed in the use of iPads. So the score drops in, and a 67. Judges liking that one. So Hayden putting in a solid score on his first run. And
yeah, we move it along to one of our first drivers of the weekend, Eddie, that's made quite a trip over.
Yes, Christian Spurkovs from Latvia.
Yep, the 24-year-old student.
Representing Drift for You in his LS3 V8. It's a 6.2, 500 brake horsepower. It's an absolute monster.
Yeah, this guy looked absolutely flawless in practice. A little shy off the wall there on clipping point 4, needed to push out a little bit wider, and you could just see it affected his line as he come into clipping point 5. Gets back out wide on clipping point 5, gets nice to the wall for 6, and a nice transition there into 7. Driving back through his own smoke as he crosses the line. You know what, if it wasn't for that little mistake, that could have been a very, very good run there for Christians.
Christians in his spare time likes to play beach volleyball, which he probably wouldn't be playing in the weather that we're having here today. But
no, you don't fancy a game?
No.
It's a little bit chilly for beach volleyball today. I'm just going to put that out there. So we await for the score to drop in there for Christians.
And of course, we are still only at the Pro-Am section of the competition. Sunday, the main event, the pros will be back out on track. Matt Carter here to defend his championship, the 2017 champion, 2-time winner now. And the score is dropping in there, so we head back. Christians Burkhovs scores a 58.3, so 58.3 for Christians Burkhovs. Not a bad first run from him. But in the absence of the Shanahan brothers this weekend, the Brits seem to think, you know, might have thought they were getting off lightly, but we've brought the likes of Dwayne McKeever.
Yeah, I mean, you know, the sign that the Shanahans were stepping down, I think everyone in the UK breathed a sigh of relief, and then a whole host of Irish and European drivers said, well, you know, we're coming to give it a go then. So not an easy task on our hands, but we're going to keep going strong as we do. On the line, our next contender for a place in top 32 is Andy Arnott. Andy Arnott representing a Learn to Drift. No information, but I do believe it is a JZ powered S13, a rear Radid from what we can tell. Andy Arnott not having the best of practice sessions so far, but you know what, this guy always comes for the fun and to put on a show.
Quite a late entry there from Andy. As the judges mentioned, you can just map it yourselves if you're watching the various cones laid out on the straight, just to give an idea of where these drivers are starting their initiation point from. And again, just Andy, the error count starting to clock up for him here as he watches a little bit wide. But of course, representing that Learn to Drift, only learning the trade at the moment, and managing to get that car around the circuit and tagging the wall on exit. So put your hands together for Andy Arnott, getting that car nicely around the circuit. But yeah, just a few too many errors.
Yeah, a few errors. We're not sure that's going to affect his score. We're about to find out as soon as they drop in. But you know what, for me, one of the better runs that I've seen Andy do in that car from practice earlier. Looked like he was having a bit of a nightmare with it. And you know what, look at that, Eddie. Nice and close to the wall there, which as we get through these and these guys start getting a bit more comfortable, we're going to see those guys get nice and close to the wall, a few wall tags. And
yeah, of course, all our replays brought to you by Samco Sport this weekend. Samco, once again, sponsoring the British Drift Championship, coming in as a partner.
Yeah, we wouldn't be able to put any of this on without our sponsors, who we
No, and you know, it's an ever-growing list of sponsors that we're seeing these days, and we will come back to them. You can see them scrolling across the screen if you're watching at home. But the score has dropped in for Andy Arnott, and a 52.3 for him sees him drop into probably mid-section on the track or on the scoreboard. As we move on to our only female competitor here this weekend, Kirsty Widrington.
Yep, Kirsty Widrington, a long-time BDC driver, representing ACT, Superbro Europe, Samco Hoses, Racing Lines, Grand Prix Racewear, Canyon Air Filters, ACL Race Series, iTandem, EP Racing, and DLR. This young lady has had a lot of seat time in the off-season, and looked like she was getting to grips with this custom circuit at Rockingham Motor Speedway this morning in practice. But you know what, for me, Eddie, it looks like the qualifying nerves for Kirsty have come back into play. It looked like she had a hold of them last year and she managed to tame them down, but that run for me looked a little bit panicky. It looked just a little bit, she needed to calm down a little bit and just process it a little bit more in her head.
Yeah, Kirsty looking quite animated in the car there as it drove off track. As you can just see there, not sure is she happy or angry. It seems like
she's happy, I think. I think
she's happy, happy to get around the track. So we wait the judges' score to drop in. And you can see, once again, Kieran Hines delaying the show. Stuck back in the Stone Age while the other two judges cross their arms saying, look at me, I understand technology. There we go, and the score drops in at 35.3.
Yeah, a very low score there for Kirsty. She's going to have to work very, very hard to try and better that for a second qualifying run. And like I say, it just looked a little bit panicked, a little bit rushed. I think she just needs to take a little bit of time and think about what she's doing next time. We move it along to our next driver, who will be William Hanna. William Hanna making his way up from Drift Cup last season, the renewables and O&M manager from, I'm going to try and say it, Eddie, Limavady, Northern Ireland. Is it right?
Close.
I had a go.
Limavady.
Off the line, Willie Hanna for his first run, representing Tarmac Sports, RB25 under the bonnet. 450 horsepower. What has Willie Hanna got? Looked like he was struggling in practice. The car looked like it was ever so slightly down on power. Clutch kicking it like it was a Toyota Corolla, but
yeah, having to make a big correction there at that first clipping zone, and it's just thrown him off a little bit, struggling to get back online. And you could just,
big use of handbrake, maybe a misshift there from Willie Hanna as he tries to scrub some speed going into that wall run, gets it back online and picks it up, but it's a scrappy run there from Willie Hanna.
Yeah, it sounded like the car the revs completely died and he just lost all momentum.
Do you know what, I think he's just not having the best weekend so far.
So William Hanna heads back to the pits, and he's definitely quite a number of errors there. He's going to have some work to do. Are we seeing a drop of rain out on track?
I can see people next to me with umbrellas, Eddie. That is not a good sign.
No, certainly not. Especially with all the rubber that's been laid down now, it'll be very unpredictable for any of these guys who have to come back out.
So there we go, 32.3 for William Hanna. Yeah, and you know what? Just proving there, a few mistakes, it's hurt his score. He's going to have to really work hard. In the second run, we move it along to Ronan Catson, the 24-year-old machine operator from Tyrone. This guy came out in practice and was blowing the tyres off this S14.5, Eddie.
Yeah, he says he's on a mission after missing out on his Pro-Am IDC license. He's piloting an RB25, 650 brake horsepower, anti-lag monster.
Yeah, look, big error there for Ronan on initiation. Failed to get all the way out to clipping point 2. And you know what, Eddie? It's massively upset his line. He's dropping clipping points. Look at this, way, way, way offline. Trying to claw it back, but this could be a very bad score for Ronan. As he fires that car, misses clipping point 8 by a mile. Not the best run there for Ronan.
No, certainly not. And again, just very hard to gauge what grip levels are going to be on the track when you come out after seeing a spill of rain like that. So he probably cursing the weather while sitting on the line, thinking, just my luck. Yeah. So unfortunate there, but that is what these guys have to negotiate at times, and changing weather conditions is ever a part of drifting in Ireland and England.
Yeah, unfortunately, that is something that David Egan can't control, and that is the weather. So we await the score to drop in.
But we mentioned, of course, the various different partners who came on board to support the British Drift Championship this year. AMD Tails, Brian James Trailers, Cosmos Racing, Funk Motorsport, Japspeed, JDM Distro, Link ECU, Monster Energy, MTech Brakes, Samco Sport, Simpson Race Products, VP Racing Fuels, and Zestino Tyres.
Yep, and the score for Ronan Katson drops in with a 32, so a 32 there for Ronan, another low score. We're going to have to, you know, these guys really making it hard work for themselves on these second qualifying runs, you know. Safe runs, just not going to cut it anymore. And you can see the windscreen wipers on that 1JZ powered 180 ATSX of Dominic Gates as the jeweller from Horsham in West Sussex prepares to do his first run.
Diamond Dom, as we like to call him. He's representing M&M Engineering, Goldfinger Rings, Funk Motorsport, J Developments, and Mishi Moto.
And you can just see, Eddie, how the weather conditions affecting that initiation. Hardly any grip as Dominic Gates tried to balance that car on the edge of grip. Looks like he's got it back now, though. Reined it back in and got it online.
Yeah,
I mean, he did drop some wheels.
You'd be amazed at how quickly these guys can learn to adjust their driving based on the conditions. So while it might be a little bit of a guessing game on entry, they can quickly get to grips with how the car is going to handle and then adjust their driving style to that effect for the rest of the course. And Dominic doing a very good job there of demonstrating that. So Dominic heads back to his pit where he'll prepare for his second run.
Yeah, you know what, for me, the initiation, it was wheels off circuit and it's going to hurt his score, but the rest of it looked very, very good for me. He managed to get himself back online. And like you say, Eddie, dialed that car in, adjusted to the grip levels out there and found some grip. And Dominic Gates' score drops in. And it will be a 59, so a 59 for Dominic Gates' first qualifying run there. Not bad, not as bad as maybe he thought himself when he was initiating, but still work to do. We move it along. Matt Walker on the line, the 29-year-old injection molding engineer from Shropshire.
Only 4 lives remaining, so be interested to see how many he has at the end of this weekend. Cat-like reflexes, though, behind the wheel. Just about getting into that second outer clipping zone.
Yeah, Matt Walker, also referred to as the giant killer. This guy looks like he's struggling a lot of the time, and then all of a sudden he'll get in that car and it is like a switch has been turned on and he will come out here and absolutely destroy the top 32 grid. Right now making a few errors, not the tidiest we've seen from Matt Walker, but he does manage to get a run in the bag, and we will see where that lands him.
Did Matt Walker actually die?
Did he what?
Did he actually die?
Die?
It says here he died but was resurrected by the cat gods.
All I know is he's piloting the cat shuttle.
The cat shuttle. And it's Easter weekend.
And it's Easter weekend. He must be in his element right now. So we wait for Matt Walker's score to drop in from the judges. Kieran Hines just taking a while to adapt to the new technology we have here at the BDC.
He's bringing along his helper tomorrow.
He is, yeah. He's going to bring along Alan. Alan's going to sit on his lap and input the score.
Oh,
so there we go, a 46.3 for Matt Walker's first qualifying run. So a returning driver to the BDC Pro-Am grid, Eddie. Richard McCall sits on the line, the 43-year-old lifting manager from Leeds. Rejoins Simon Perry in the lineup for the 2018 championship, now represented by RJB Civil Engineering, RS Tuning, Maxillan, Jeff Insurance, CG Motorsport, Sanyo Sport, Goodridge, Westlake Tyres and Hard Race, but shuts it down, Eddie.
Yeah, just dialing in too much angle there, didn't have the momentum to carry it through, and unfortunately a big error like that, and I can't imagine he'll be scoring too much more than a 0 on this one in.
So yeah, we wait for that to drop in to make it official. As Richard McCall heads off circuit. Yeah, and there we go, it is a 0. It would be a momentary loss of drift for that one, so that will be a 0 for Richard McCall, all to do in the second run. We move it along, Eddie.
Yeah, Lewis Baker on the line, the 27-year-old garage owner from Milton Keynes. He's representing Drift Tech, Wenham Fitness, Mr. and Mrs. Fitz, Fabulous Food, Westlake Tires, Dropjaw Customs, and Drift 365.
So we often refer to this guy as Mr. Flat Out, the showman. He drives 100% or nothing at all, and it doesn't look like anything has changed in the off-season for Lewis Baker. In practice, this guy was driving this car absolutely on its limit. Look at that big fast transition, lock to lock, stands on the accelerator, and you can hear that RB25 on the bonnet absolutely screaming, 600 horsepower.
Yeah, just getting a little bit wayward here though for Lewis. Not staying on line all the way through the circuit, and that's really going to affect his score, you'd feel. But you can't fault him for aggression and style and fluidity there. Big impact driver is Lewis, and I think a lot of that probably comes from his hobbies, which include wakeboarding, snowboarding, and off-road 4x4 as well. So
I don't know how off-road 4x4 has an impact in drifting.
Just reading what it says.
So Lewis Baker's score drops in. And Lewis Baker scores a 62.3.
Not bad for a first run for Lewis Baker.
Yeah, David Egan being very generous with the scores there, Eddie. I don't know if you've noticed, 66. And
he's in a good mood.
He's in a good mood today, yeah, he's happy. So on the line, we move it along. Lewis Mitchell, the carpenter from Spalding, representing 1552 wheels. You can see him on that car looking absolutely cool as hell. And look at this, a nice entry from Lewis Mitchell. Watched him earlier in practice. Looks like he's not changed too much on the car in the off-season. Struggled in the last couple of years with this car to adapt to it and to get the way it drives. Looks like he's finally gelled with it. Look at this. Gets it online all the way into that outer clipping zone. And again, he's on a very good line. Look at that back wheel all the way out. Exactly what the judges wanted to see. Just drops it for clipping point 5.5, but nice and tidy to the wall. Good transition.
Demonstrating a real understanding of the technical aspect of drifting here, and a real display of what it means to be on that qualifying line.
Exactly, yeah. I mean, and like I say, it looked like it struggled in the last 2 years with that car, and it's finally, in practice for me, it looked like it's just clicked. He's gelled to the car. The car now works flawlessly, and you know what? I hope big things for Lewis Mitchell this year. So we wait for his score to drop in.
Yeah, Lewis, of course, coming from a stock car racing background, so certainly a very good understanding of motorsports and how they work. His score drops in, a 55.7 for him. Yeah,
judges, just finding flaws, maybe dropping off of line ever so slightly as he comes into clipping point 7. On the line, another a 2 JZ powered S14. This is the car of Stuart Egdall, the 34-year-old Highways England traffic officer.
Yes, Stuart representing Goodridge EP Racing, Paint Tech, 360 wraps, AET turbos, Turbo Smart, 5.0 Motorsport, Powerflex, OBP, Pipercross, and Extreme Clutch. Finished this car last year, if I'm not mistaken, but just some mechanical gremlins, and got it back up and running in the off season. So seems to be working properly for him here this weekend, Ian.
Yeah, I mean, like you say, finished this car off, debuted it last year, did a few events, and it didn't really gel with it straight away. Took him a little while to get used to it, but didn't change anything, Eddie. Kept it the same car and just got out, got a lot of seat time in the off-season. I see him here a few weeks ago at the Matsuri event, practicing away, and he said he feels confident. He said the car works flawlessly now, and he's looking forward to the season. You know what it shows there? It looks like he's had some good seat time, and that wasn't a bad run there for Stu Egdall, especially piloting that new car. And look at that, the score drops in 71 for Stu Egdall, so a 71. And I reckon that's going to drop him in second place, just underneath that young man, Ryan Caldwell.
Yeah, and so far, not too many people setting the scoreboard alight. Our next driver to try and do that, though, is Justin Griffiths.
Yeah, Justin Griffiths sits on the line in that gold Rocket Bunny JZ powered S13. Justin Griffiths been around a long while in the BDC, just looking to make that break into pro. Just doesn't look like he had.
Yeah, it seems like there's something really lacking there. A little bit of power, commitment, and quite a safe run. I mean, we talk about safe runs, Ian, but maybe possibly a little bit too safe. Very shallow, not really getting into any of the clipping zones. And
no, I mean, the problem is, Eddie, and we've seen it time and time again, is these guys put in a safe run, and sometimes that safe run can come back around and bite you a little bit, especially when the level of driving is very, very good.
Yeah.
You know, you get a couple of guys that come in and drop some big scores on the table on both their qualifying runs. You putting in 2 safe runs can really hurt you, and I mean, I can understand just in there putting in a safe one just to get him in that top 32, but I've got a feeling he's going to have to need to do more than that to get higher up. And yeah, 32.7 for Justin Griffiths. So we will see how that one plays out. We move it along to our next driver. Neil Bamford sits on the line, representing Airtech, the plumbing and heating engineer from Hinckley, Leicestershire.
yeah, he bought this car completely standard back in 2011, and he's been bringing it up to spec as he goes. It's a 380 brake horsepower SR20. He used to compete in Time Attack, of course, as well, in a C20 XE Corsa. He's representing Airtech this weekend, and doing not too bad a job here at the moment. Can he keep it wide here? Now this is where it gets tricky. A bit of a pothole there on that intersection of the track as well, which makes it even more important for these guys to stay out nice and wide. Just feathers that throttle. Very good throttle control throughout, and crosses the line.
Yeah, a few errors there on initiation, Eddie. Just off power, let the car slide through clipping point 2, jumped on the throttle, and then he kind of, you know, he overcooked it, put on a load of angle going into the wall. He caught himself short, he had to straighten and reinitiate coming into the wall. So I've got a feeling it's going to really, really hurt his score, even if it's not a 0. So looks like the judges are putting a score in the board for him. We're just waiting for it to drop in. As you can see, the rain has stopped.
Yeah, very brief, momentary shower. So, and the score drops in for Neil Bamford, a 27.
Yep, so a 27 is going to mean a hard work for Neil in his second run. We move it along.
Yeah, a little bit of a slow start in terms of the scoring, but of course, a lot of these guys been building these cars in the off-season.
Yeah.
This is their test period for them, their shakedown, as we see Andy Earl throw it into that first corner, but just dials on too much. Takes the wrong line, really, to that first clipping zone.
Yeah, throws on too much lock, slows the car down massively, has to dial the angle off and use a big clutch kick to keep that car going. Andrew Earl just slowing that car down, manages to get out to 5.5, gets on the wall for 6. Looks like he's tidied it up, but the stall on the initiation.
Yeah, Andy says he's very competitive by nature, so he won't be happy with that. The surveyor from Dublin, he's representing Glen Bay Group and Tyre Tech. Not the entry he would have wanted on his first attempt.
No. So Andrew Earl's score just getting inputted now to the system.
Yeah, that's better.
And as you can see, Eddie, I do believe the clouds are disappearing ever so slightly here. So yeah, Andrew Earl there, a score of 50 for Andrew Earl for his first qualifying run. We head back to the line where we do see Alistair Sutton. Alistair Sutton from Surrey. This young guy came all the way, another driver from King of the Ring in Essex. Was the 2016 champion, came to Drift Cup, which is the BDC feeder series, absolutely dominated the series, was the winner, the champion by round 5. And look at this from Alistair Sutton.
Yeah, tagging the wall there. Oh, it grabs a load of understeer.
How he avoided the wall, I'll never know. Unscathed.
That takes wall run to a whole new level. Right?
Alistair Sutton gives it a big clutch kick and carries on.
You can just see how hard he's having to work just to transition that car as well, Ian. But wow, that got really out of shape very quickly.
Yeah, Alistair Sutton, the 2017.
So we go to our Samco Sport replay. Just
yeah, I mean, how he avoided the wall.
Are we going to get to see the replay?
Maybe.
Second time.
Bear with us, bear with us, no. So we're just going to wait for the score to drop in there for 7. It's a 17 there for Alistair Sutton. We move it along to Philip Hayden.
Yeah, the 17-year-old college student studying motor vehicle service and repair.
Yep, one of the Hayden brothers. We will see his older brother tomorrow in the Pro class. Philip Hayden piloted his brother's car, this little BMW Compact in Drift Cup last season, earned the right to make his way into BDC Pro-Am, and here he is. This guy's chase game is another one that's absolutely flawless. Arm out the window as he runs through clipping point 8. You know what, these young guys, Eddie, they're coming through. They are really, they've got something special, some of these guys, because they go door to door and don't batter an eyelid.
That's something special, is absolutely no fear whatsoever.
Exactly.
And that's the difference maker.
So we wait for Philip Hayden's score.
Apparently he gets told he looks like Ed Sheeran all the time.
He does,
so
he does, he looks like Ed Sheeran. There you go, look.
Wow.
Here's Ed Sheeran. 72 for Ed Sheeran in BDC Pro qualifying. Philip Hayden there with a 72, so that will drop him into second place in the qualifying order. Up next on the line, Jonas Lund.
Yes, Jonas, who we've seen pilot a very unstable Volvo in the past.
Yeah, very unstable. All the way from Norway, piloting this bright orange PS13.
And doing a good job so far, although missing that second clipping zone, not getting nice and wide onto the wall like we'd like to see. And again,
yeah,
just losing that momentum, not keeping the car on throttling.
Yeah, looking very, very sketchy is this from Jonas. Just needs to kind of tidy up. This is very, very sketchy from Jonas as he finishes off this run. So Jonas,
funny thing is, I've seen Jonas drive in the past, and he can pull out, you know,
amazing driving,
incredible laps when he puts it together. But that, unfortunately, was not one of them.
No, that wasn't the Jonas we've seen before in the past. So I'm not sure what that score is going to be, but it's going to be very, very low there for Jonas as we wait for it to drop in. Yeah, and a 26 for Jonas Lund. So we go moving along to the next driver on the line, which will be Dave Mittel. Dave Mittel, piloting something that you don't often see on the drift grid, Eddie.
Certainly not. I think we've seen one of them in the past in IDC.
Yep. Dave Mittel, SR20 powered Sierra.
Losing shot up there for just a
moment. Lost sight of where Dave Mittel is. Yep, Dave Mittel, the mechanic garage owner from Mould in North Wales. Not doing a bad job so far, a little bit scrappy, not the best runs. Seen him put some better runs in practice. Maybe those qualifying nerves just get into him ever so slightly. Representing Buckley Car Service Centre, GarmentGenie.com.
So Dave not getting a chance to finish his car in time, so just driving this car in the meantime. He's only driven it twice, so really just getting to grips.
So he's really, it's test run. It's test run out for this weekend.
So we wait that score to drop in for Dave Mittel, and of course, still waiting on those scores to creep up. Only one driver making it into that 80 bracket at the moment, of course, Ryan Caldwell. Many people would have favoured him to take this round and possibly the championship this year, but of course,
I think there's one man that could stop him though.
Yeah, one other guy who
can stop him.
Really seemed to steal the show this morning while we were watching in practice, and being quite aggressive, I suppose.
Yeah, very aggressive. But for now, 43.3 is the score for Dave Mittel as it drops in. So 43.3 there for Dave Mittel. We move it along to the next guy, Sean Chesham, the aircraft engineer. Teamed up with the guys from Team Red Mist this year. Very aggressive from Sean Chesham as he throws that car in. Got a good line and he managed to balance that car. Now goes for the big wall run. Gets off of it nice and tidy. This is nice and smooth. Oh, and he grabs a whole bunch of understeer as he heads towards the wall. Not the place you want to be grabbing the understeer. But Sean Chesham does manage to keep a hold of it and keep going, but now it starts to fall apart. That understeer, Eddie, has absolutely sacrificed his run.
Yeah, it really has, and it seems as though it's a common trait that a number of drivers now struggling with front-end grip, particularly as they come to that second wall section of the track, and very unfortunate there for Sean Chesham, as he looked to be on a very good run up to that point. And again, it just goes to show to, I suppose, reiterate what Kieran Hines was talking about in briefing this morning, the wider they stay out onto that white line on entry, the better they're going to be for that second clipping zone at the wall. You know?
Exactly.
If you stay wide, you won't hit the wall. If you come shallow, you're
going to hit the wall. Yeah, exactly. It's going to put you offline. It's a very, very technical line, and you know, it rewards the people that are brave and that are willing to run the widest line. So we wait for the score to drop in there for Sean Chesham. He said this is a borrowed car as well, Eddie. He said this is a borrowed car and I'm going to stick it on the doors and walls. So if you own that car, I would suggest you...
close your eyes.
Close your eyes, yeah.
Or take the keys back off them as soon as possible. So the score about to drop in for Sean Chesham. I'm not sure... well, he's definitely not going to break into the 80s and threaten for top spot. So he scores a 25.3 for Sean Chesham. And again, yeah, a lot of work to do for him. So our next driver on the line will be Ross Barr, the 27-year-old joiner from Scotland, representing Ross Barr Joinery Services, Westwood Flooring. He's got a young boy called Riley at home watching online, so big shout out to you, Riley. Hope you're enjoying watching your daddy on screen, tearing it up here in Rockingham. It's a 2.8, 190 brake horsepower, 328 compact.
Yep, you can just see a Ross Barr doing everything he can to pedal this little BMW compact around. You can see the wipers on. And you know what, Eddie, not a bad job from Ross there as he manages to get that around. You just see that car wearing some battle scars already from previous wall runs this morning. And the rain again falling here at Rockingham Motor Speedway, making conditions not the most ideal.
It's what we call spitting back home. Spitting out there. So yeah, those little tiny drops of rain will just make the track like
super
ice.
Greasy. Yeah, and a 61.3 there for Ross Barr. So a 61.3 on the board. We go back to the start line. On the start line we have Charles Funnell, 27-year-old engineer from Milford-on-Sea.
The engineer who recently taught himself how to TIG weld.
Oh, that's a super aggressive entry. Didn't look like it was going to pay off, but he held on to it, Eddie. Fires it in through clipping point 2. A big aggression on the throttle. Nice angle on the wall.
Big flick out to the wall there, Ian.
Yeah, very nice from Charles Funnell as he now starts to rein it in a little bit, get himself back online. Just manages to push out nice and wide onto clipping point 4, slowing that car down absolutely perfectly. Charles Funnell's car control looking on point so far. Nice transition. Can he stick it to the wall and top this off and make a good run? Oh, the weight of the wall. Ladies and gentlemen, give him a round of applause. Charles Funnell there. Just see the fist in the air in the car, you know, excitement.
He knew it was good. Lots of wheel speed. You can see him managing to create a little bit of smoke as he crossed the line there despite the rain out on track. So Charles Funnell doing putting in a really strong run there as we go to our Samco Sport replay. Just tagging the wall. Nice finish to the run for Charles Funnell. And I'd say the adrenaline really pumping. You can just see him getting a little bit worked up inside.
A little bit worked up inside the car. They'll be happy with that. You know, he's had a lot of issues with that car, and it's been a long road to get himself here to BDC. And a 65.3 for Charles Funnell for his first qualifying run, so a 65.3. Up next, our title sponsor, Funk Motorsport, and also Oliver Bolton, sponsor, Funk Motorsport driver. This guy, Eddie, believe me, has had nothing but issues and problems so far with this car. This guy was up till the early hours of this morning having this car tuned in Birmingham by Greg Gush. Made it here this weekend. A lot of hard work, a lot of determination has gone into getting this car where it is right now. And you know what? Oliver Bolton putting on some show right now. And adapting to the changing weather conditions.
Yeah, it really is. And look at this line, Ian, as he just scrubs that speed. Can he get it onto the wall? He certainly can. All the body panels, if I'm not mistaken, on this car are fiberglass, and it's a rear clamshell.
Yeah, look at this. Oh! Absolutely brilliant wall run there for Oliver Bolton. What a run. Yeah, he'll be over the moon with that. I'm over the moon with that. That's a good run for Oliver Bolton. I know what this guy's been through to get to this point so far. So, yeah, we're just going to go back to our Samco Sport replay. Those guys sponsoring our replays here. And look at this. Precision from Oliver Bolton as he gets that car all the way to the wall. Yeah, he knows the scale of his car. He knows where he's at with that. Perfect driving for Oliver Bolton. We wait for the score to drop in.
Millimetres away from being inch perfect.
His dad will be wincing in the pits as a freshly painted car. You know that I know that he put like 20 or 30 grams of metal flake onto the body panels of that car, which is not cheap. And look at that, Oliver Bolton drops in for 75, a 75 for Oliver Bolton. So he drops into second position in qualifying. You know what? Could Oliver Bolton be the guy that challenges the Irish this weekend here?
You never know. If he puts in a performance like that for the rest of the weekend, he certainly could be the one to do it. We move it on to Richard Dalby-Smith, the 34-year-old IT consultant from Buckinghamshire. He's representing Nispro Performance, OP Oils, Walton Motorsport, Samco Sport, As New Fuel Injection, DB Paint Co. UK. He's a jack of all trades. This is a 400 brake horsepower CA20 DET, rocking the CA20.
Yeah, a time bomb to some people, or a hand grenade with no pin, as it's been referred to before. Richard Dalby-Smith having a few issues in practice. The car sounded like it had no power whatsoever, but it looks like it's got all of it right now as he pushes that car all the way through clipping point 6 on the wall. Nice transition back, but slightly offline there, Eddie. Yeah,
he's getting the car around, but that's probably all that can be said about the run. Not getting deep enough into the outer zones to really threaten top spot, but certainly getting that car around the course and will put a score on the board.
So we wait for Richard Dalby-Smith's score to drop in.
So it's a stroked CA18 to make it a 2-litre. I mean,
that's just dangerous.
Just crazy.
That's a guy that likes to live life on the edge, right there. He's like, you know what?
Yeah, everybody else is going V8, LS this, and
drifting's dangerous. I'm going to have a CA, a 2-litre CA. Why not? Why not make life really hard for myself? So the score drops in there for Richard Dalby-Smith, and it is a 57.7. So a 57.7 there for Richard Dalby-Smith. We move it along to Stephen Fitzgerald.
From Mala in County Cork. He's representing Fitzgerald's Vehicle Works. This is an RB25 550 brake horsepower engine built by WCP. West Coast Performance.
Oh, and he is way offline, Eddie. Big entry, but had to sacrifice the line for lock there. Slowed him down massively now. Can he get it offline? This is not looking good for Fitzgerald, Eddie.
Yeah, it's just, you know, a calamity of errors here, really, and getting very much out of shape. Just never managed to really get online throughout that run, and not really replicating what we saw from him in practice this morning. He will head back to the pits knowing he has work to do, and probably a little bit frustrated with the fact that he couldn't pull it together for his first qualifying run. But I suppose everybody reacts differently to the nerves. As soon as you get onto that start line, it's a completely different feel to how it would have been in practice this morning, and with the changing conditions as well, maybe a little bit of uncertainty before you head out on track as to how the car is going to you know, hook up, and just not going right there for Stephen Fitzgerald. We await the score to drop in, 38.7 for him, and yeah, Stephen Fitzgerald has some work to do if he's going to get himself into the top 32 later on. Now, a man that we have watched with a keen eye all morning, Lee Scott, the 19-year-old mechanical engineer from Dunloy in County Antrim. He's representing Finvoy Tyres, Care Recovery and Repair, Hell, JW Services, AK Drift Repairs and Top Dog. RB25, 500 brake horsepower, fully forged RB engine, running the G-Force dog box, and he has been absolutely bullying people out on track this morning. And look at the line he's taking.
Yeah, look at this. Lee Scott absolutely demolishing this track so far. Any perfect wall run after perfect wall run. Absolutely pinpoint perfect line. Give him a round of applause, ladies and gentlemen, as he crosses the line. Like you say, Eddie, sorry about that. That guy, he was absolutely bullying people in practice. His line is flawless. His aggression is just on point.
And he's a better driver than Alan Hines as well, which is very important to note.
Wow, shots fired. So we await for the score to drop in there for Lee Scott. You know what? Can he challenge the 16-year-old Ryan Caldwell for top spot?
Yeah, 82 the score to beat there. And, you know, if anybody looks like doing it at the moment, Lee Scott looks like, wow, look at this. A 93 for Lee Scott. He goes top of qualifying. Breaks into the 90s. You can just see the audience showing their appreciation.
So, no break in the action. We move it along. Damien Wilkinson, the 29-year-old mechanic from County Tyrone, sits on the line in that Quins M Sport SR20 powered S13. This guy, another Irishman that's come with some aggression. Look at this big entry.
Yeah, the builds coming out of Quinn M Sport at the moment are just phenomenal. And Damien Wilkinson,
changing weather conditions, not phasing Wilkinson at all. Gets back online after a nice transition, nice and deep into these outer zones. Gets that back wheel absolutely perfect. You can see him scrubbing the speed.
Yeah, and you can just see how unpredictable the handling of the car is there as it just starts to swivel. And
yeah,
you know
unbelievable run there.
Yeah, Damien Wilkinson doing it. It looked like he was constantly out of control, but keeping it online at the same time.
So Wilkinson, his score dropping in now from the judges. And you know what, he was good, but
yeah, I mean,
I don't
you know,
know if it's in the 70s. That's going to be a high 60s, in my opinion. But
Damien Wilkinson, one of those guys who just maybe not reaching his potential, or not getting everything to come together for him when he gets into competition. Certainly has the capabilities to pull it all together. He scores a 52.7, and will we see more from him in his second run? We'll have to wait and see. There's certainly more in the tank from Damien Wilkinson. It's just whether or not he can produce it. As we move on to our next driver, who is all the way from Kuwait.
Yeah, Saud Al Abdahaldi, all the way from Kuwait, piloting the LS2 stroked 490 horsepower BMW E36. Looks like he had some issues in practice, and you know what, Eddie? It looks like he's still got maybe a couple of issues with the steering on that car. You also see some steam coming out of it in practice. It looks like they've maybe fixed the overheating issue, but the steering doesn't look too good.
Yeah, not too much practice this morning for Abdelhadi, and doing his best with what he has to work with now. He's getting the car around in. Just dialed, big flick there as he tried to transition, and never looked comfortable really throughout the run.
It just doesn't look very, very settled on transitions, and you know what, you can see that as soon as he initiated, it kind of put him on the wrong line. He wasn't confident going into turn one, so.
He is a judge back in his home country. He has also won 8 podiums in the past as well, so no stranger to competitive drifting, but just not going right from him on that run. Possibly some technical problems with the car, or mechanical issues rather, and it'd be interesting to see if he can get those fully sorted and back out for his second run and display what he's all about. A 34.3 the score for him, and yeah, as you say, he's going to need to improve on that.
So we moved it along back to the line. The Drift Games sponsored driver all the way from Cork in Ireland, Tomas Falvey.
And the last driver to come out for their first run. This car, of course, involved in the makings of a film, Damo and Ivor, back in Ireland. And Tomas, one of the nicest guys in drifting, always has a smile on his face, always up for a bit of a laugh. And certainly well able to pedal this S15 on his day, getting it out to the wall, but a little bit of a struggle there, just not keeping it too fluid, but he stays nice and wide, puts the power down as he crosses the line. RB25, 550 brake horsepower monster, representing Drift Games, the trailer company, RH Construction, Mobile One, Burke Lubricants, Dean M Sport, and of course Moose Design, who's responsible for pretty much all the graphics you'll see in any IDC car, and doing a phenomenal job.
So that wraps up the first half of qualifying. Eddie, we are just going to take a quick look at how the standings are sitting at the moment.
Yeah, and we might take this opportunity just to go over to David Egan just to talk us through. So the score then from Tomas Falvey drops in at 55.3. But after the first round of runs, Dave, if you could just talk us through, not too many drivers scoring very high. What is it that they need to change if they want to get, start upping their numbers and score that perfect 100?
Thanks, Eddie. Well, look, we are actually scoring it, as I said before, 60 on line, 20 on angle, 20 on style. A lot of guys off the line. The line is once you get one section wrong, especially the 2 transitions are really important. you really make a mess of the rest of it, and we're bleeding points up until they get back on the line again. And unfortunately on this track, if you come off the line, it actually takes some distance to get back on it again, so they're losing points there. A lot of guys could have got a lot higher scores, but they're making quite a, like you saw in Tomas Fabi's there, not a bad run, but makes a big error at some part of the track. So one big error, and especially when it's such a long track, there's more areas to make errors on it. So we're marking them down for that. I think if you look at the Lee Scott run there, we said, you know, that was near on as good as you could do. Perfect line, perfect angle, lots of impact. He got a 93, well deserved. Still room to improve, but I think if you look at it from both ends, a lot of guys in the mid-pack need to tidy up that line. I think we might have seen a little bit of understeer due to the small splash of rain that came down, which was costing guys runs as well. So a little bit scrappy, a little bit sketchy, but remember these guys have been out of the hot seat for a little while now. They're back in competition mode. We're expecting a strong second half of the qualifying session coming up.
Thanks, Dave. So we're going to head back now and we're going to look at the leaderboard currently and how these guys are sitting within our qualifying order. So as you can see, Lee Scott there takes a top qualifying spot in first place. In second is Ryan Caldwell, third Oliver Bolton, fourth Philip Hayden, fifth Stuart Egdahl, sixth Jake Rolls, seventh Hayden Crickshank, eighth Charles Funnell, ninth Lewis Baker, 10th Ross Barr. 11th Dominic Gates, 12th Christians Burkoffs, 13th Richard Dolby Smith, 14th Alexis Drew, 15th Lewis Mitchell, 16th Thomas Falvey, 17th Damien Wilkinson, 18th Andy Arnott, 19th Dan Tyler, 20th Andrew Earl, 21st Carl Farrar, 22nd Adam Elder, 23rd Matthew Walker, 24th Martin Cowley, 25th Dave Mittle, 26th Stephen Fitzgerald, 27th Kirsty Widrington, 28th Saud Albert Haddy, 29th Thomas Kirkwood, 29th Justin Griffiths, 31st William Hanna, 32nd Roman Catterson, 33rd Neil Bamford, 34 Jonas Lund, 35 Sean Chesham, 36 Alistair Sutton, 37 Richard McCall, 37th Paul Beachy, and 37 Ricky Lawrence. We have 3 37s there. Those guys obviously scoring a 0. Eddie, you know what? The scoring's tight, like Dave said. A lot of drivers not being able to find that correct line.
Yeah, and you know, it's the thing that was really highlighted as being, well, it's evident from the weight of the amount of points that they're giving, that it's the most important thing that the judges are looking for in their criteria. But again, Kieran Hines explained to all the drivers how important it was and how critical it was to stay on that wide line on entry, and that would then allow them to, you know, the rest of the course kind of flows from there. And it's something that, you know, if you ever watch James Dean compete, which pretty much all of us have, of course, and he makes it look easy, but the one thing that you will always notice about him is that the car is always in the right place at the right time. It's always where it needs to be, and then the rest looks easy because it just looks fluid from there. There's no, you know, trying to correct here, trying to correct there, and get back online. It's just online from the start to the finish. Yeah, exactly.
So we're ready to move it along for the second half of our qualifier session here at round 1 of the 2018 British Drift Championship.
Yeah, I suppose when you look at the two guys that are leading it at the moment, they're kind of probably, when we were watching practice this morning, the guys that we would have said they're the guys to watch. Well.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, we watched those two guys earlier on in practice, and I said to you, Lee Scott is absolutely flying. He wasn't putting a foot wrong, Eddie. You know what? In his chase game, like we said, was very aggressive. It was very entertaining to watch, and it goes to prove their top qualifier so far of a 93. So that's going to be very, very hard. Very, very hard for someone to top.
Yeah, I mean, based on what we've seen so far, there's only maybe 2 or 3 guys in the grid at the moment that can contend with that sort of score, because a 93 is just, there's only 7 more points you can get.
Yeah, I mean, and I don't think I've ever seen anyone score a 100 or once a 99, and that was a Jack Shanahan. So great things to be had here for our pro-ams, but looks like we're ready to go, Eddie. And is the sun come out, or is it just about the sun's come out? So
sun's out, guns out. So we are ready to go, as Mike.
Yep, we're going to get our first driver underway. Dan Tyler, the 24-year-old driver from Essex, really needs to get it out of the bag now to make his way into the top 32. He fires that 2.8 E36 Touring. You can just see the wipers on. No rain falling, but the sun in the sky now. Going to make conditions hard for Dan Tyler. Not the most powerful car on the grid, but look at this. Eddie gets it on a good line.
Yeah, on a good fast line here, and again keeping that wheel speed up, but having to really scrub off a lot of speed as he comes to that wall zone, but Tyler looking impressive here, keeping it in those boxes.
Oh!
Oh, big tag of the wall as he crosses the line. That's what we want to see from Dan Tyler as the sun comes out here in Rockingham Motor Speedway.
Yeah, you know what? Like I said before, not a lot of impact from Dan Tyler. We're going to go back to our Samco Sport replay for you guys at home, and I will talk it for you guys here in attendance. Obviously, tomorrow we'll have the big screen in place, so you guys will be able to see what everybody else is seeing and what the judges and me and Eddie are seeing on the screen. Not a lot of impact from Dan Tyler. You know, low-powered car, it's going to be hard for him to make huge tyre smoke and put on a big impact. But what he does do very well is be a technical driver. He gets that car on the right line and keeps it there, and he's very, very good at getting the clipping points. And look at this, precision. You know, this is absolute precision from Dan Tyler as he completely runs the clipping zone. You know, what more could you want?
Yeah, I mean, you don't get a better wall run than that. It was, you know, millimetre perfect. Little scrape, didn't affect the line, and a 70 comes in for Dan Tyler.
Yeah, so a 70 for Dan Tyler, that will push him.
That's a huge score for
yeah.
you know, a Drift Cup driver to come in here in his first ever competition at a Pro-Am level and put in a 70 on a second run. We talked about the safe runs, Ian. The safe runs
they
are
don't
over.
Work. Yeah, they don't work anymore. You can't do those. They don't count in BDC. We move it along, though, to Martin Cowley. Another guy looking for that BDC license, winning the Drift Cup event here just 3 weeks ago. From Team Locked and Loaded. A machinist in the Formula One industry, Eddie, so some good motorsport background for him as Martin Cowley now turns on the smoke machine. Look at that, nice fluid transition, nice and deep into that outer zone.
Yeah, scored a 45 on his first run, did Martin, so work to do there to get himself up the order. But this looking like a much better run this time around from him. Nice. Yeah. And as he crossed the line.
Yeah, there's a lot more fluid. You know what, I think that first qualifying nerves is out of the way. And you know, I think they've seen all of the rest of the grid, they've seen all the top end drivers do their runs now, so they've kind of got more of an idea of what they need to do to achieve some higher scores. So we wait for that to drop in. For Martin Cowley, I know that guy is going to really want his BDC license, you know.
Yeah, and I mean, it means so much to these guys to come here and try and put on a show and try and get themselves into a situation where they have a BDC license and they can now just contend, you know, in the rest of the championship without having to go through the Drift Cup Series in order to do that. So the score comes in for Martin Cowley on his second run, and he scores a 76.3.
A lot better for Martin Cowley. A big step up from that 45, and you know what? I'm pretty going to say he's going to be very safe inside that top 32 for later on. Another guy that needs to do well is this guy, Thomas Kirkwood. I do believe he scored a 0. Is that right in his first qualifying run?
No, I think he put in a score. Possibly, yeah. Did he put in a score? I don't remember.
I can't remember. No, for the life of me. But Thomas Kirkwood now heads out for his second qualifying run. Nice and deep into that second clipping point. Just shy off the wall. Nice and fluid though from Thomas Kirkwood. And looks nice as he comes all the way to the wall there. And a nice wide line, Eddie, as he comes into clipping point 5 there.
Yeah, 32.7 on his first run, but this looking so much better, Ian, so much more comfortable out on track, getting into those outer zones, tagging the wall. Yeah, massive improvement and a big step up there from Thomas Kirkwood.
Yeah, it just looks like these guys now, like I say, have just sat back, watched everyone else in the grid, got their first run out of the way and thought, you know what, this is what I need to do. This is what the judges are looking for. And like Dave Egan said, nice wide line, getting all those clipping points nice and deep. Yeah, look at this from Kirkwood. Precision from Kirkwood. I think he just misses it. But
that's what it's all about. It's about bringing in these, you know, guys who are used to competing at maybe a lower level or an entry level. They come in here, they mix it with, you know, a higher standard, and they just...
It just clicks.
Yeah, it just starts to click. They watch what the other guys are doing and they're learning all the time. Can we see another driver score in the 70s? We certainly can. Thomas Kirkwood scores a 73. Another driver scoring a 73. Big improvement there from him, and these guys really stepping up and showing that the talent is in Drift Cup.
Exactly, yeah, the young talent is coming through, and the feeder series is doing exactly what it's designed to do. Up next, Jake Rolls.
Yeah, Jake scoring a 67 on his first run, so he is in a good position already.
Can he better his score? We're about to find out.
He's inside that top 10. He's currently sitting in 9th position. He's going to look at throw it in nice and hard, or just
Whoa,
look
at that.
Look at that lining.
Yeah, absolutely perfect. Nice and deep. Transitions onto the wall. A little bit shy off that wall. But look at this. Keeps the throttle in, Eddie. And all the way out to that white line. This is looking good for Jake Rolls. Just pulls himself away from clipping point.
Yeah, maybe doesn't have the power just to keep out to that wide line all the way around the track. But certainly, you just see him almost do a rolling burnout as he transitions back across, as he's safely over the line. Will he improve on that 67 that he scored on his first run? We wait and see as he head back to the pits, knowing that he should be safe for top 32. That 67 on his first run, you feel, inside that top 10 should be safe. But then again, those scores have dramatically changed already after only 3 drivers on their second attempt.
Yep, and the score drops in a 67.7 there for, so a 63.7 for Jake Rolls. So not topping his first qualifying run, so his first qualifying run score being the highest one of the day. So, you know what, I'm going to say he's going to be safe inside top 32. So
yeah, certainly inside the top 10 at the moment. He'd probably be bumped down maybe a few places, probably end up mid-pack somewhere. We move on to a man who really needs to pull it out of the bag. On a 0 from his first run, Carl Ferrar.
Yeah, Carl Ferrar needing to really make it happen now as he fires this S14 in. Nice aggression, but a little bit of understeer there as he comes into clipping point 2. Now Carl Ferrar pushing that car all the way to the wall. Really needs to try and make this work.
Yeah, just here, giving that car absolutely everything it has and dropping a wheel offline.
Yeah, manages to get it back, gets back online, but again, dropping a wheel again. It's going to take his line off the wall, yeah, and completely misses clipping point 8. You just see the transition just ever too early, Managed to get 7, but it put him on the wrong place on track. So, going to hurt his score a little bit, but is it enough to get himself a place inside that top 32? We're about to find out as the scores drop in.
Yeah, it was another one of those runs there where the cars. He's got the car around the course, but just too many errors creeping in. Few too many corrections here and there, and just not that fluidity that we would really like to see. So the score drops in, and it's a 51.3 for Carl Ferrar. So I'd imagine when it comes to the end of qualifying that could be just on the border of making it and not making it. So I'll wait and see. Now, a man looking to go top in qualifying. He sits in 2nd position at the moment on an 82. It is Ryan Caldwell, the 16-year-old student. 750 brake horsepower under the bonnet of this S15. It is an absolute monster, driven by a child. Oh!
Wow, and problems. And he heads straight back to the pits. Not sure what happened there. You know what? He went really wide after clipping point 1, and perfect initiation. He got out nice and wide on that wide line, got into clipping point 2, and then I don't know if he went for a miff shift and broke the gearbox, but that car just completely lost drive. Watch this. Comes into it and then loses drive. Wow. So problems there for the young Ryan Caldwell. Hopefully that score of 82 enough to keep him inside that top 5, which is, I know where he wants to be. Definitely enough for top 32. We move it along to Alexis Drew. The twisted fire start already.
Yes, stuck in the 90s. I can only imagine what's going on inside the cockpit of that R34.
Yeah, Alexis Drew fires it in, but completely falls offline there. It's not looking good for Alexis Drew so far. Going to have to try and rein this one back in if he's going to try and get a good score on the board. It looks like he's found his feet now, but could it be a little bit too late? Falls offline ever so slightly there, manages to get out nice and wide, gets it on a good line. Do you know what? It's scrappy, Eddie. It's a scrappy run.
Yeah, scrappy run, and we're just going to see now when the scores drop in where Alexis Drew will land after his 2nd qualifying run. And it is unfortunate for these guys. They do only get, it's 2 30-second runs.
Yeah.
Can be the make and break for your weekend, and the deciding factor as to whether you're going to go home early or progress into battle action. And of course, battles is really where drifting becomes so exciting and so adrenaline fueled. And if you haven't seen it before, you really are in for a treat later on. So a 63 on his second run, improves on his first run as well, and he should be safe for action later on this afternoon.
So on the line we go to Paul Beachy. Paul Beachy scoring a 0 on his first run, if you remember rightly. Came into clipping point 5. The car grabbed a whole bunch of understeer, headed towards the wall with the wheels facing the opposite direction.
Yeah, look at this line though from Paul Beachy, nice and wide, hugging that white line.
Yeah.
Just comes off the wall though as he now switches back. Can he get into that outer zone again?
Just shy of it, Eddie, ever so slightly. Manages to get it back online now. Oh, and you know what? That car just not looking comfortable. He looks like he's absolutely fighting it all the way around that turn, and now he's fell completely offline. It's not looking good for Paul Beachy.
Yeah, a couple of occasions there where the car just looks like it run out of shunt, and he loses all momentum and having to make a correction then. So
yeah, we wait for the score to drop in there for Paul Beachy.
Will it be enough for Paul Beachy to see himself into battle action? As we mentioned, a 0 on the first run and a 48.7. It's going to be a nervous wait for him because that is just not really high enough.
Yeah, I
mean,
mean,
it's very rare where you'd see a 47 qualify into a top 32. So, Ricky Lawrence, the next on the line.
No, we're moving along. Adam Elder. Adam Elder. The 18-year-old. That's just a lie. It's not 18 at all.
Yeah, he's the 3-time Fueltopia Barrel Sprint champion. He's the Scottish Gymkhana Cup champion with a 12-run winning streak. Formula G 2 years running second place. European Burnout champion 2017. Didn't even know that was a thing.
Yep. And Adam Elder, nice aggressive initiation. Looks good on a fluid line so far is Adam Elder. Now, can he wash out nice and wide? Sounds like he needs to just shift the gear to get that wheel speed up a little bit more and just get off that rev limiter and carry a little bit more pace then through that final turn. You know what, he looks like he maybe done enough there to top his first qualifying run, Eddie.
Yeah, looked to be an improvement there on his first run, but of course we're just mere commentators. We don't get to make those decisions. And as the judges pencil in their scores, and we wait it to drop onto our screen, where will Adam Elder lie? Well, a 69, a big improvement on his first run, and a solid score there. Not managing to break into the 70s, but a 69. I think he'll be happy with that.
Yeah, you know what? A good advancement over his first run, and I definitely see him inside that top 32 later on. We move it along. Hayden Cruikshank sits on the line.
Yeah, 67 he scored on his first run, so he's well up the order, sitting in 11th position currently. Can he improve on that? He'll be certainly looking to do so in this 2JZ 600 brake horsepower car, which he has sponsored himself. He's the managing director of an event lighting company.
Yeah, Hayden Cruikshank not doing it too bad of a job so far. Just lacking in a little bit of depth on those clipping points. Just drops the wheel ever so slightly. Gets it back online. And you know what? A tidy run from Hayden, consistent, looks like a mirror image of his first run that scored him a 67. So, you know what, for me, I don't think it's going to be a lot further away from what he scored earlier on.
Yeah, seemed to be, you know, presenting a lot of consistency here at the moment. You know, nothing too out there. But again, a guy like that, very difficult to come up against in battles later on. Consistency can generally win out over people who can, you know, pull off a big run, you know, maybe every 2 or 3 runs.
Exactly, yeah.
Be middle of the pack for the rest of it. So, 67, his initial score to beat, and a 69.7 on his second run. So just about beating that first score, but like you said, Ian, very consistent.
Yeah, and
a very similar run, almost mirroring exactly what he'd done on the first attempt.
Yeah, exactly, and the scores go to show that. So we move along to Christians Burkhoffs, student from Riga in Latvia.
Yeah, Christian scored a 58 on his first run.
Yeah, nice aggressive entry. Look at this, Eddie. Big angle as he fires it through clipping point 2. Jumps on the power early. Nice smoke as he heads to the wall. And this guy, earlier on in practice, raised a lot of eyebrows. Just misses out on clipping point 4 there, but pushes nice and deep out into 5. Got good car control as this young man. And can he get it going? Look at this. Oh, a little wall rub there from Christians as he transitions back, comes for his own smoke. Can he tag the wall again? He doesn't, but he... Do you know what? Tidy run there from Christian.
So much smoke there, hard to tell. Maybe he did tag the wall, but no, I think you're right. I don't think he did. But do you know what? Christian's doing probably one of the better runs that we've seen today. I expect this one to score quite highly, definitely in the 70s, I'm going to say.
Yeah.
Could be wrong, though.
Could be wrong, Eddie. We've been wrong in the past.
Never. Just mistaken.
Just mistaken. Misunderstood.
So a 58.3 from the Riga native. Can he improve on that? The score drops in a 79.3. See, I was exactly right.
Exactly, yeah, a big score there for Christian's Burkhoffs. We move it along to Andy Arnott, representing a Learn to Drift 1 JZ powered S13. Andy Arnott, flapping a headlight there as he initiates, and it drops way, way, way down on that first turn. Completely misses clipping point 2. Nice transition off the wall, but can he get it back online and push out nice and deep? He can. That then automatically falls back offline again. Oh, and a big straight line, has to reinitiate. Coming into clipping point 5, misses 5. This is very, very scrappy for Andy Arnott, Eddie.
Yeah, not the run Andy Arnott would have wanted, and you know, quite a lot of errors there. Just struggling really to get grips with the car, and you know, there's no amount of headlight winking you can do in the world that's going to
that's going to persuade the judges.
Persuade the judges.
I don't even like him. I don't even know if Kieran likes S13s.
I don't think Kieran even likes drifting or people.
He looks disgruntled today.
Loves technology though.
He loves this new system that Dave Egan's brought in. He's overwhelmed by it, as you can see. So we await for Andy Arnott's score to drop in. And Andy Arnott's score has just taken a little bit of time to process. There we go, a 52.3 was his first qualifying score. He scored a 50 on his second, so it will be his first score taking him through. Not sure if that's going to be enough, Eddie, but we will have to wait to find out. We go back to the start line. Kirsty Widrington now.
Yeah, Kirsty on the 35 from her first run, so work to do here. She's you know, coming back out on track. She seemed to be quite animated as she left the track.
Yeah, she looked very animated as she left track earlier. You know, she was very happy with what she'd done inside the car, and you know, she was happy with herself. The judges not seeing the same level of excitement that Kirsty was seeing, and scored her with a 35.
So we're hearing that we're going to be going down to the pits, and Nathan Black are. Well, I'm not sure he's probably the right person to talk to. This guy doesn't seem to know anything about drifting, but he's down.
Well, Eddie, come on, give the guy a chance. I mean, give him a chance.
No, come on, it's a serious motorsport.
No,
anyway,
Eddie, let's give him a chance.
It looks as though he's down in the pits anyway, and let's see what he has to say.
Way on. So we are here live down at the startway. We're here right at the beginning of the track where the drivers are all lining up to make their way onto the course. And we got a chance here with Dominic Yates. We're going to have a quick chat. How do you feel things are going? You've had one race. How are you feeling going into this second drift go?
Yeah, good. It rained right before my first run, so now it's dry again. Hopefully it can go even faster this time.
Excellent. So you mean, what have you got to lose? It's your second go. Go hell for leather. And then hopefully, who knows, you might end up in first place. Are you feeling confident? Are you feeling excited?
I am, yeah.
Excellent. Well, turn it up, get that window up, and you're good to go. Brilliant stuff. Take it away. We're just getting started here at the first leg of the BDC here at the Rockingham Motor Speedway. It's extremely excited. The floor may be slightly damp, but the driver's spirits, they are not. Taking it back up to Ian and Edward. Thanks, guys.
Cheers, Nathan.
Yeah, so anyway, newest addition to our reporting crew, Nathan.
You'll get it,
Yeah,
Eddie.
it'll come.
Bear with it, you'll get it. It'll come. So we're going to head over to David Egan, someone who's far more gifted in his choice of words. David.
Yeah, we're just taking a little moment to recalibrate our new system here. Obviously, you guys at home can see it, but it's been an interesting qualifying session. We were just saying that, you know, guys are getting much more confident now towards the end of it, pushing much harder out towards those walls, and we don't want them to make contact with the wall. One of those that is scoring quite high is this section in front of the grandstand. It's sort of the risk-reward area. We're starting to see guys pushing a little bit harder out to just right onto the tire bell there at the end of the wall, and they're scoring much higher for it, and the scores are creeping up. So I think those little nerves that were at the start of qualifying starting to go away now. We're seeing some very good runs and some guys showing exactly what they're capable of. So from my perspective, it's heating up now. I think the last couple of runs are going to be pretty exciting. Thanks, Dave.
Yeah, I mean, Dave just nails it on the head there. Everyone's got that first qualifying run out of the way. We're moving through the pack now. The drivers that we're starting to see have got a little bit more seat time, a little bit more length inside the championship. So we expect to see big things as we move it along. And like we say, on the start line, ready to go for her second qualifying run is Kirsty Widrington. We was recapping Eddie saying that she was pumped inside the car. Maybe not the drive that the judges wanted to see, but for her, she had good confidence. So hopefully it's boosted Kirsty inside that car, and you can hear the aggression off the start line. Kirsty Widrington for her second qualifying run. Nice opposite flick as she sends that car in. Does she carry too much speed? She doesn't. Manages to hold on to it. Jumps on the accelerator, pushes that car nice and wide to the wall. Good transition back. You can see Kirsty really working that steering wheel. And look at this from Kirsty. Good aggression, Eddie.
Yeah, she's really come out of the traps here, and what's going on there? I mean, it looked to be the perfect run there from Kirsty. And did the car shut down, or was it possibly some driver error? But a big correction and straighten there for her. And shaking ahead from Kirsty as she goes by our camera crew and back into the pits.
Yeah, I mean, that had so much potential. Not sure what happened. We see a couple of guys earlier grab a little bit of understeer there. I don't know if Kirsty's fallen foul to that as well. So we're just going to wait for her score to appear on our screen. You know what? That looked like such a promising run as well.
Yeah, I mean, it had really set up to be a big score, and, you know, bar that one error, I mean, Kirsty was really looking like a giant killer there. Can she get a score good enough to get herself into the top 32, where she'd be able to battle her way through? She certainly does. A 58.7, massive improvement and step up on her first run. And just think how high that could have been had there not been that that slight error in the midsection. So,
yeah, we move it along. Willie Hanna sits on the line all the way from Northern Ireland in the RB25 powered R33 Skyline. A few errors in his first run, scoring a 32, so it's going to need to really pull it out the bag now as Willie Hanna, as he fires that car in and he falls way offline. Eddie straight away completely misses clipping point 2. It's his completely wrong transition as well. He was very, very shallow, and you can see car middle of the circuit dropping clipping points at the moment and bleeding points, and you can hear Willie just inside that car really trying to work it, but this is not the way he wants this to go down.
No, used to drive a Sierra Cosworth, sold it so that they could spend money on this R33 and try and build it up, and just not going right for him just at the moment, and I'm not sure that's going to be enough to take him through to top 32.
So we wait for William Hanna's score to drop in.
And of course, just a reminder that if you're living in the area and you want to drop down tomorrow, there are tickets still available on the gate.
Yeah, and sorry, Eddie. And a 42.3 there for Willie Hanna, so a very low score. Not sure how it's going to go, but yeah, tickets on the gate.
Yeah, and make sure, get down and be part of the first round of the 2018 season. It promises to be a classic. It always is. There's always a story from the first round, and it will be where, the story of the whole season really starts at round 1, and we get an idea of who's coming, who's on form, what builds are working right, and where people really are in terms of their competitiveness for the season. So a lot to look forward to tomorrow, but we go back to the start line where we see Ronan Catterson.
Yeah, Ronan Catterson sits on the line. Made a few errors in his first qualifying run. Going to be looking to nail this one, Eddie, and find himself inside top 32.
Yeah, he's outside at the moment with a 32 on his first run. And again, just not deep enough and wide enough on that outer line. Nowhere near the wall as he Transitions now back. Can he get to that second outer wall? A little bit better, but just not having that, getting on that wide line in.
No, exactly. Just not what the judge would have said.
Oh,
Oh, and
shuts it down.
another guy shutting it down there. You know what? For me, Eddie, I think the track has ever so slightly dried out from what it was on some of these guys' earlier qualifying runs. And earlier on, the wet track was allowing their cars to slide and aid them to get into the clipping zone. I don't think that is happening anymore. And you know what? The grip has come back, and they're struggling to get out on line. So we wait for Ronan's score to drop in, like you say, on a 32 earlier on. Can he top that to find himself inside top 32?
Yeah, I mean, look, we wait for the judges to make their ruling on it, but it doesn't seem promising, you have to say.
Yeah, and a 52.3 for Ronan. So, you know, maybe lower end of that top 32. Fingers crossed for that guy. We move it along. Dominic Gates sits on the line, the jeweller from Horsham in West Sussex.
Yeah, he's been into motorsport as long as he can remember. He used to go quad bike racing, sprint racing, and he brought a drift car, and he said, you know what, it seems like a good bit of fun. I'm going to try my hand at that, and you know what, I'm just going to come out here and throw my rear end off the wall. Wreck that lovely paint job, because this car is absolutely pristine. And you know what, Dominic Gates tearing it up out there right now.
Yeah, not doing a bad job. Just dropped clipping point 2 after the initiation. The car just didn't make it all the way out there, but he got it back online, and this looks nice and tidy as he finishes up the run all the way there through clipping point 8. Managed to save what was left from it. So making our way through, Eddie. Not many more to go, and top 32 drivers will be announced.
Yeah, so we'll be reducing it almost by half. Over 50 drivers entered this morning, and we will only have 32 left for battle action later on this afternoon. It is quite cutthroat, and especially when you consider the amount of money that goes into these builds, to not even make it to the battles is a bitter pill to swallow. So Dominic Gates' score drops in, big improvement on his first run, a 68.7 for him, jumps him right up the order, and into the business end of the leaderboard. We move it on to Matthew Walker from Shropshire. He's representing Fred Wilson Restore. He's an injection molding engineer.
Yeah, Matt Walker fires that little S54 powered E30 all the way to the wall. Now this looks like the Matt Walker that we're used to seeing, Eddie. Also quite widely known as the giant killer. Matt Walker finds the power inside the engine. Look at this from Matt Walker. Now this is much better. Just dropping ever so shy out of those clip-in zones.
Yeah, dropping one clip zone there, but keeping it tidy for the rest of the run. Doesn't get quite out to the wall. It's not as far as we'd like to see, and we want to see these guys, you know, just about rubbing that wall as they pass by the grandstand. And as Dave alluded to, that's where a lot of the points are going to be picked up for these guys.
So Matt Walker's score just coming together now from the judges. So like Eddie said, if you are a local to Rockingham Speedway, don't hesitate to get yourself down here tomorrow. Action will start at 12 o'clock with our pro qualifying. And straight after this qualifying session, we will see our pro practice. So our pro grid will be out for practice. So you're in attendance, we'll be able to see those guys. And I do believe we may keep a fixed camera running, potentially. Maybe. We'll see how that goes.
We might give you guys a sneak
preview of what you can see tomorrow. So a 69.3 for Matt Walker, a big jump in his score there from his 46. So enough maybe to see him inside that top 32. And a lot of scores, Eddie, are very close, all within the 60s, you know, from 60 to 70. Most of these drivers now are scoring very, very closely. Another guy that needs to get a good score on the board is this man on the line, and that is Richard McCall, the 43-year-old lift engineer from Leeds. Back.
Yeah, sitting on a zero himself, so he needs a bit of a lift.
Good pun.
Sorry.
Nice initiation from Richard McCall, fires it up but doesn't manage to get all the way out to clipping point 2. Very tentative on the wall. Looks like Richard may be putting in a safe run, Eddie.
Yeah, well, that car doesn't sound overly healthy as it passes there, but yeah, I don't think it's really time for a safe run here, because you've got to go out and give it everything, because scores are coming in quite high. You need a 70 just to get into the top 10 at this stage, and You know, it was a little bit of a slow start, but those scores have crept up quite high. And yeah, again, you know, not nice to be sitting on a 0 on your first run, and Richard McCourt there. Has he done enough?
Yeah, exactly. So we await for that score to drop in. For Richard McCall, making his return to UK drifting after taking a year out. Now sponsored by RGB Civil Engineering, RS Tuning, and look at that, 61, Eddie, a 61 for Richard McCall's second qualifying run. So fingers crossed for that guy. He finds himself inside top 32. We go to the line, Lewis Baker, the man that is 110%, 100% of the time, Eddie. This guy is a showman, and he likes to carry big angle, lots of speed, and big smoke. What is Lewis Baker going to do? Baker throws it in at nice speed. Look at that, nice and deep into clipping point 2. Now carrying good angle. Just dials it out a little bit to keep himself away from that wall. This could be a little bit of a reined-in run from Baker. Finds himself just missing out on clipping point 4 there. Gets nice and wide. Oh, and a little bit of understeer as he comes into 5. That part of the circuit there, Eddie, catching a few drivers.
Yeah, I wonder is there possibly a drop of oil there or something that's just reducing grip levels for them. Because quite a number of the drivers, as you say, getting caught out there. But yeah, interesting you say it did look as though Lewis Baker maybe just reeled himself in a little bit, didn't let himself get too aggressive, got the car around the track nicely, and put a score on the board. So where's he going to drop in? That's the real question. 62 on his first run, his second run at 58.7. So.
Yeah.
Consistent, but not improving on his first attempt.
Yeah, consistent, like you say, Eddie, but maybe reined it in just a little bit too much. But you know what? Consistency could be the key. Hopefully, he finds himself inside top 32. A man that is looking good, and he's looking sharp in that 1552 sponsored 1JZ S14 is a Lewis Mitchell. Lewis Mitchell, the carpenter from Spalding. Big aggression from Mitchell as he throws it in nice speed. Look at this, Eddie, but it sacrifices line.
Threw it in really fast, but too much of a mid-line in, and now he's going to struggle to get this car back onto that qualifying line. Gets it out to the wall, but you know what? Not bad, but he's going to be really penalised quite heavily for that big error at the start.
Yeah, and he's not making... another driver, Eddie. Another driver just scrubbing too much speed. Almost comes to a straight, and such potential and initiation from Lewis Mitchell, but you know what, a whole host of errors. So I'm not sure how that's going to affect his score as he pulls off the circuit. Like I say, Lewis Mitchell representing 1552, J.L. O'Rourke & Sons, Mitchell Motorsport and Bulldog Services.
Yeah, that was the run he got, but not the run that he needs right now. And
yeah, you know what, a lot of pressure on his shoulders. His dad and his granddad are both stock car racing champions, world champions. So
yeah, well, it's in his blood. Does he improve on the first run? At 55 on the first run, 39 on the second run. No improvement. He's going to stay where he is, and we'll be watching the leaderboard just to see does he sit inside that top 32. And of course, we will keep you guys updated as we go. So if you're watching at home, you can see it yourselves. Next on the line is Stuart Egdal.
Yep, Stuart Egdal currently sitting in 8th position with a 71. You know
what about that run from him on his first attempt?
Pulled it out the bag. Looks like he's gelled with this car. Like you say, debuted it last season, Eddie. Really got it working this season. Look at this, aggression from Egdal as he throws this 2JZ powered S14 in. Team Red Mist driver you know what? I think he's feeling a little bit pumped at the moment and possibly giving it too much of the right foot a little bit on entry. So yeah, you know what? He finds himself inside that top 10 and he thinks, why not? Throw caution to the wind, Eddie, and see what can come out the other side. Manages to hold it together, just running a wheel on the outside of that line. But this is nice and technical as he runs the back bumper along that wall on clipping point 6. Can he put in another perfect wall run where all the points are gained? He doesn't, but he gets it nice and deep in 8.
Yeah, I think Stuart Egdal is enjoying himself out there at the moment because, you know, you have to feel for a driver. You spend so much time trying to build a car, and quite often you might not gel with it straight away. And there was a little bit of a breaking in period with Stuart and this car. And we go back to our sample sport replay. Look at this, tagging the wall perfectly as he flies around the circuit on his second attempt. Can he beat his 71 that he put in on the first attempt? No, a 61 on the second attempt. Just not doing enough, but certainly sitting pretty after that first run. And there's a man that looks like he's enjoying his drifting.
Yeah, exactly. He looks pumped and ready for action. So does this guy on the start line, Justin Griffiths. Justin Griffiths sits on the line, ready for his second qualifying run. Justin Griffiths, JZ powered 180SX Rocket Bunny kit.
Quite a tentative entry there, and that doesn't look like it's going to get out wide. No,
and he's going to have to pedal it, and he's really going to have to try and work now to get this back online. It's not going to be easy, and it's not going to flow as smoothly as what he'd like.
Yeah, and I think what's important to remember is, you know, that these guys, they may not have a whole lot of experience, and it can be very hard to throw your car sideways at 60 miles an hour, and then you have to go try and get an inch from a wall, and you know, you've spent hours and hours trying to build it, working really hard, working overtime just to pay for it, and then you know, so it's to have that level of commitment. It takes time and
confidence.
Yeah,
it takes a lot of confidence. Yeah, exactly. Like you say, these guys, a lot of these guys, privateers, not huge backing that you'd expect to see with a pro like our pro drivers. So yeah, to go and throw your prized possession, 30 grand race car at a concrete wall, it's not what some guys want to do. But he scores a 43.7, so does better his first run. I'm not sure if it's going to be enough to find himself inside top 32. Our judges just applauding themselves there on their scoring abilities, Eddie.
They'll take any praise.
They'll take all the praise. Neil Bamford sits on the line in the AirTech sponsored S14. Now Bamford, I do believe Bamford scored a 0. Is that right on his first run?
27, so
very low. Yeah.
Not far off.
Not far off.
And the important thing is he needs to improve. Oh, it was full commitment, but a big correction there as he almost washed wide off the track.
Yeah, Bamford now really trying to pedal this car back onto a good line. Like you say, Eddie, big commitment. Oh, and he drops
going
wheels.
wide again. So the score really starting to be cut quite significantly here as the error count just gets too high here for Neil Bamford. And unfortunately for Neil Bamford, I'm not sure that that's going to be enough to improve a 27. Certainly can't knock him for commitment. So we await the score for Neil Bamford to see, will he get himself into the top 32, and will he improve on that first score? And as we say, oh yeah, 41, you can just see it dropping in there, a 41 on his second run. I don't believe that will be enough for Neil Bamford.
No, it's going to be a very tight top 32, like you say, Eddie, and I think that 32 onwards is going to be low 60s all the way through to the 90s. So we move it along. Andrew Earl, the surveyor from Dublin, steps up to the line for the second qualifying run.
Yeah, sits on a 50 at the moment from his first run. As he takes to the course, what can he do to improve that now? Fires it in through the first corner, just ever so slightly comes off that line. Not getting as wide as he needed to just to make that flow out to that walled zone. So Andy Earl now, some work to do here to get the car back online, and he's struggling to do that as he bashes that limiter. And now coming into that tight teardrop section of the circuit. Again, just so difficult to get this right once you've already come offline. And Andy not getting it out to that wall zone either. So, well, you know what? Not a bad run when you watch it, but at the same time, just never technically perfect, you know.
Had a good impact, but unfortunately, technically, it wasn't what the judges were looking for. So I think there's going to bleed his score of points massively. We wait for those scores to drop in.
Yeah, as Dave alluded to, you know, a lot of drivers losing scores because of the lack of commitment to the line.
Yeah, exactly. And like we say, you know, the reward and the point scoring is all done through big risk and putting that car on a wide line and putting it on the walls. So a 50 there for his first qualifying run and a 48.33 seconds. So Andrew Earl doesn't change his position in qualifying. We move it along to our next driver, Alistair Sutton. Alistair Sutton. The young lad from Surrey, the Drift Cup 2017 champion. Look at this, on a very wide line is Alistair Sutton, using that little bit of rain that's fallen to his advantage, almost running the wall, and you can see it making effortless steering inputs inside that car. Just looking out the side window, gets it on a good line and manages to keep it nice and wide into those clipping zones. Just drops that clipping point 5.5, but now gets nice and wide onto 6. Can he keep this going? This could be a good run for Sutton as he pushes nice and deep into clipping point 8. That's a good run for Alistair Sutton there.
Yeah, there was something wrong with that run.
Sutton run, that's bad.
Yeah, it's terrible.
It's terrible. It's worse than Dave.
We're just warming up, though, you know, we're just warming up.
It's round 1.
It's round 1, it's a whole season. No, Alistair Sutton putting in a really strong run there, and interesting to see where is it. Can he break into the top 10 with it? How will the judges score it? Judges a little bit, you know, a little bit harsh with some of their scoring so far.
Yeah, very, very harsh. So a 62.3 for Alistair Sutton, second qualifying run. That will see him inside that top 32. Like I was saying earlier, you know, lower end of that top 10, I reckon. With a score like that, we move it along to Philip Hayden. Philip Hayden, 17-year-old college student.
Yeah, Phillips, he's sitting on a 72 from the first run, so a man that is on form.
Look at the commitment from Hayden as he fires it in, just locking up that front wheel with the foot brake all the way out to the wall. Now this is the Philip Hayden that we've seen before. His first qualifying run, not quite what we've seen from Hayden. He starts to shine now as he sticks that little BMW compact all the way to the wall, balancing that car on the foot brake. Look at this perfect use of the foot brake to slow that car down. Nice and tidy as he transitions through clipping point 6. And all the way out, can he run the wall, almost to the wall through 8 as the rain starts falling. Eddie, that's a very good run there for Philip Hayden.
Yeah, I mean, if that was a saloon, he probably would have run the wall there quite.
He's missing a bit.
Yeah. You know, you're going to give him a little bit of benefit of the doubt because he's probably missing about 3 feet off the back of that car. So, but yeah, another strong run. And could Philip Hayden be the, you know, the spanner in the works or the dark horse here today? Because do you know what? He's just sitting there kind of quietly.
Yeah.
He's got a good line dialed in now, and he looks comfortable out there, and that is going to be difficult to battle against.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, he could upset your weekend massively if you come against him. And look at that, 74.3 for Philip Hayden. A 72 on his first run shows consistency is the key there.
Oh no, it's Ed Sheeran. Sorry.
Ed Sheeran.
We thought it was Philip Hayden. It's not.
Ed Sheeran.
Ed Sheeran here in Rockingham this weekend.
So on the line, Jonas Lund.
Yeah, Jonas getting a 26 on his first run, so he's got it all to do here. Needs a big, big run here. Needs to pull something out of the bag. He fires it out of the traps. What's he going to bring? Throws it into that first corner. Nice wide line now, just dropping a wheel over the line. Can he get out to the wall zone? Oh, comes off that line a little bit too early. See him there. Just flicks it and battling with the steering wheel and avoids contact with the wall, Ian. Almost sliding into that wall zone.
Yeah, grabs a massive load of understeer as he comes in towards the wall. It sacrifices the line. Now this is where it starts to fall apart for Jonas. Can he get it back online and try and save this run? This looks a lot better than the first one, which was very, very scrappy. But you know what? That straight in the middle part of that circuit is going to crucify his score.
Yeah, unfortunately not what Jonas needed after a 26 on his first run, and I don't think it'd take a genius to figure out that that's not going to be enough to get himself into the battle segment of competition later on this afternoon. So we do await that score just to get confirmation from the judges. And as that score drops in, Jonas Lundy, a slight improvement, but the 32, yeah, just not enough. Unfortunately, you know, that will be the end of his weekend, but we will hopefully see him back at round 2 for more action. We move it on to Dave Mattel. He's on a 43 from his first run. SR20 powered Sierra.
Yeah, Ford Sierra. Not the most obvious choice, but you know what? A few young guys in Ireland piloting them. Oh, and Dave Mitchell throws it in big angle, which pulls him way offline now. Dave Mitchell got all the work to do to try and sacrifice. Save something from this run, and just not looking good. Looks like that car's just driving very, very strange. As he transitions onto the wall into 6, you can see the windscreen wipers on as the rain falls again here at Rockingham Motor Speedway. Not sure what happened there, Eddie. Big angle on initiation didn't help, you know, he sacrificed the line massively, but then it was like the car didn't really want to react. It was like it just wanted to get a lot of understeer all the time, so it's not like he's running massive amounts of grip.
Yeah, I mean, just struggling really to get it together, and again, the score drops in here. the first run really was the better of the two, and the 43 not going to be enough, I'd imagine, for Dave Mattel. As we move along then to our next driver to take his second and final run, it will be Sean Chesham.
Yeah, Sean Chesham, very, very aggressive on his first run and super aggressive on his second. Grabbed a whole load of understeer as he came around through clipping point 6 last time. Can he hold it together? A little bit of a wobble there on the steering wheel from Sean Chesham. Fires it to the wall on good angle, but he's sacrificing line here, Eddie. This is not looking good as he's bleeding points. Now, this is where it went wrong last time. Can he hold it together? He can, but he almost over-rotates as he comes off the wall. Very, very aggressive. Very, very aggressive as he tacks the wall and across the line. Not sure how the judges are going to score that one. Very, very.
So from a point of view of someone who's competed in the past, and you see a lot of these guys and they struggle to get on the line, how difficult is it to get a car into those positions and keep it there? Because it's, you know, it sounds quite easy, you know, just
yeah, it does. It sounds easy to talk about.
This is the line, just stay nice and wide.
This is what you do. Yeah. Listen, it all comes down to initiation, and you know, and we talk about that quite a lot. It's all about carrying the speed, a nice fast initiation. Car setup is 99% of it, you know. We find it a lot here at Rockingham Speedway where the initiation is off camber. So once you've initiated, the track starts to fall away and head towards the grandstand. So the cars naturally then want to grab understeer, which is not a good thing. The car wants to then straighten, push you in a straight line. To get that round there, as soon as you've got a decent initiation, and we can see there as Sean Chesham's score drops in a 34, so not enough maybe to get himself inside that top 32. But going back, like you're saying, Eddie, once you get it round that through clipping point 1 and into clipping point 2, if you're on a good fast wide line and you've got that initiation nailed, then the track becomes fluid and flowing. Everything from there in should be easy work. It's all throttle control, minimal steering inputs. It should be yours. But you know what? To put it in practice is a lot.
It's a completely different thing.
Exactly.
Yeah. So our next driver to leave the line will be Ross Barr. He scored a 61.3 in this little 2.8, 190 brake horsepower, 328 compact.
Yep, Ross Barr representing BDC Media, Ross Barr Joinery Services and Westwood Flooring. And you can hear him, Eddie, driving this car with the clutch pedal, quite literally. Not doing a bad job though.
No, getting it around. You just hear the odd little brrr out. He is giving it absolutely everything that this little car has. And you know, it's great to see drivers coming out, underdog and underpowered heroes, and just coming out. It's real driver ability.
Yeah,
is
exactly.
What you see when somebody's driving with that little power, because they really have to manage every aspect of the circuit a lot more than somebody who has on-off power.
Exactly.
In the range of 500 to 600, 700 brake horsepower.
So, like you say, Ross Barr sitting with a 61.3 on his first qualifying run. Do you know what? I think it's going to be a very consistent score. I think you're going to see something around that, a low 60, high 50s. So we wait for that score to come in. Oh, and no, Judge is seeing a lot of faults in that score with a 33.7. So 61.3 will be the score that Ross Barr will stay with. Judge is seeing things us not seeing there, Eddie.
Yeah, I think they're grumpier than we are as well.
I think Kieran Hines is cold. That's the problem. He looks cold.
He looks like Tom Hanks from...
yeah, you're not the first one to say that this weekend.
What was that film called? Castaway?
Castaway, that's the one.
Looking a little bit scruffy and homeless.
So on the start line we see Charles Funnell. Charles Funnell awaits his second qualifying run.
Yeah, sits on a 65, so well up the order. And safe for a battle action, as we only have a few drivers remaining to take to the circuit for their second run. And Charles Funnell fires it into that first corner. Can he keep the momentum though? No, he can't, and has to deviate off that line.
Yeah, it looked like he backed out of it ever so slightly on initiation, Eddie. The car kind of made a dive from 1 to 2, which is not the nice fluid line that the judges want to see.
But that being said, he's kept it pinned, and
it's started to fall apart a little bit. There's moments of brilliantness in this run, and
yeah, and then moments of just not so brilliance, but still gets the car around the circuit, and will definitely have learned a lot about the way that the car handles and the way the circuit runs based on the 2 qualifying runs that he's done. He has a 65.3 in the bag, so safe for battle action. It's all just learning after that, just time behind the wheel. bracing yourself, preparing yourself mentally for the battle action later as well.
Exactly.
But just going back to what we were saying about, you know, putting it all together, how much of it do you feel is driver ability as opposed to driver understanding of what the judges want? So is it a case of maybe not fully understanding, or maybe just understanding but just not having the ability to do that? And you see Charles' second score not managing to top his first one.
Yeah, a 43 there, not going to outweigh a 65, so he stays where he is. Yeah, I mean, driver ability, I mean, these guys, listen, none of our paddock are short of ability. Every single driver we have is top level, you know, they know exactly what they want. Sometimes, yeah, understanding of what the judges want is very difficult, and, you know, maybe car is letting them down, you know. If a lot of these guys doing this on a budget out of their own wallet at the end of the day and not having the budget to build the car that maybe wouldn't necessarily make their job easy. So it's all hand in hand, and it all goes one for one. And
so it's hard to pinpoint, but yeah, so some interesting points there. But Oliver Bolton now on the line in, and he sits on a 75, and you know, a man that's looking very strong out there today.
Yeah, very, very strong. The Funk Motorsport driver heads off the line, very aggressive. Look at this, nice handbrake initiation, fires that car in on a very wide line, gets on the accelerator nice and early. Now starts to dial this car in, gets nice and wide out onto that wall. Early transition, just holds it back ever so slightly to stop himself over rotating. Not a safe run from Bolton, but this one is a little bit tame. Looks like he just wants to kind of be a little bit consistent, does Bolton. Starts to let it all hang out now as he gets nice and wide again to the wall, and two very, very good consistent runs there from Oliver Bolton.
Yeah, and I think that's something that's very important for a driver's confidence. He's sitting in 5th position. No need to try and push the boat out in top qualifying. You know, a 90 is hard to come by.
Yeah.
So just work on consistency, work on what you've been doing in practice that
Yeah.
morning, finding your you know, your points of where you're going to be on throttle, where you're going to be off throttle, and he did just that. So.
Yeah, and I'm not sure if that score is going to top of 75, sorry. You know, top 60s, I'd imagine to see there as our scores drop in from our judges. Yeah, what a 72 for Oliver Bolton. So 75, his first score, keeps him where he is in 5th position on the grid. You know what, 72 just goes to show you that he's very, very consistent, and we expect to see Oliver Bolton go quite a long way today as we move it along to the next driver on the line, Richard Dolby-Smith. Richard Dolby-Smith scoring a 57 in his first run, so looks like that CA20 doing its job as he fires that car in. Big lock from Dolby-Smith, but has to bail out of it, which sacrifices his line going into the wall.
Yeah, whenever you see the hands shuffle that much, you know that something's really gone wrong for these guys. It should be a kind of a smooth steering motion with minor corrections to their line as they go around the course, but
yeah, looking like he's pulled it back together again now, Eddie, but yeah, that little error as he come through clipping point 2 just upset the run ever so slightly, and maybe pushed him offline, not exactly what he wanted. But it'll be a score on the board nonetheless for Richard Dolby-Smith.
yeah, back to the pits for Dolby-Smith, and with 57, just need to get a check of the scoreboard to see where that would leave him, should he not improve on it. So 61. So just about manages to improve it, and you feel with that score that he should be inside the top 32 and safe. For those of you watching at home, you will be able to see those scores populate your screen in just a moment, and you'll be able to just see for yourselves where people are sitting now. Stephen Fitzgerald, if I remember correctly, a poor first run at 38 from him, all the way up from Mallow in County Cork in Ireland. Needs to pull something out of the bag here, Ian, and a big flick weight transfer entry here into the first corner. Keeps it nice and wide, dials on the angle, and you know what? Dialed on too much angle, lost all his momentum, Ian.
Yeah, do you know what? Put too much angle, lost all the speed, but he kind of reined it back in a little bit now and gets back online. Just dropping a wheel over, drops 2 wheels over, and now starts to fall offline again. This now starting to look like the scrappy first run that we see from Fitzgerald earlier on. Big angle, big aggression, but technically not what the judges were looking for.
Yeah, not technically correct, and you know, it started off nicely, but the error count just started to creep too high, and I think that's going to really cause his score to be little bit low as we see a big drop of rain now out on the track again. Hopefully it'll be brief just like the last two, but it's definitely going to upset the hopes that Lee Scott had of jumping to the top of qualifying.
Yeah, exactly. So a 58.7 for Stephen Fitzgerald's second qualifying run. So it does see him move up the order a little bit, maybe just scrape inside that top 32. We go back to the line, and the man who's currently leading qualifying, Lee Scott, makes way in the RB25, 500 horsepower E46 BMW. Look at this from Scott, big angle, but oh, the rain hampers his chances of beating his first qualifying score as he drops 4 wheels off. He keeps in it though, Eddie, putting on a show for the fans here at Rockingham Motor Speedway.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't look as though anybody's going to top a 93, but he certainly, you can't deny, he came out looking to, looking to put in a score of 100. It was so aggressive into that first corner, and as he hammers the limiter and crosses the line, I'm thinking a 0.
I'm thinking a 0. Yeah, I'm going to say a 0. But we're going to prove. We're just going to get that clarified by our judges as we wait for the score to appear on our screen. Yeah, and there we go, a 0 for run 2. So a 93 there for Lee Scott, keeping him where he is in first place qualifying at the moment.
No consistency though.
No consistency whatsoever, just pure aggression. We're going to go quick look for a Samco a replay. He's a little cheeky little wall run he put in there, Eddie, halfway through the run. Just to prove that he's still got the skills to pay the bills. You like that one, don't you?
Yeah, I like that.
You like that?
Yeah.
You're going to use it?
I'm raging now. I'm like, oh, why didn't I think of that? I'm going to write it down.
Damien Wilkinson sits on the line. We are now in the last 3 drivers. Wilkinson to head out.
Yeah, Wilkinson looking to put a full run together here and show us what he's capable of. Just coming off that line, and again, the rain coming down just the wrong moment for him.
Yeah, Wilkinson doing a good job so far, though.
He's sitting at 26, so he has qualified, and he will be safe for action. You can see it looks as though a lot of these cars are doing some off-roading, before they come out on track. But it's just the paddock area where they are is a little bit mucky, so if they're not as clean as they might normally be, that's why. But of course, they will be using AM detailing products to clean those cars before they come back out later in top 32 action. Damien Wilkinson crossing the line there, as we said, sitting in 26th position. He's safe for battle action. Can he improve though on that first run? We await the judges' scores to see that. And yeah, rain really starting to get very heavy here now, and
yeah, I mean,
we're
it looks
hoping Ian that it's a quick spell.
I'm going to say no, Eddie. It looks like it's in for a good hour at least. So that will change weather conditions massively for those guys. They got some practice earlier in the rain, so we'll see how that gets on. But a 70 for Damien Wilkinson, so that does move him up the order ever so slightly in top 32. We move it along to the next driver, which is Saud Al Abdelhadi in the LS2 stroked E36. Looks like he had steering problems, Eddie, before, so not sure how this is going to play out for Saud.
Wet conditions don't really make for a fun time if you've got steering problems.
No, exactly, and as you can see, manages to keep it on circuit, does drop 2 wheels off, and keeps it way, way away from the wall. And being very, very tentative, balancing this car. Oh, and yeah.
Yeah,
he's gone the wrong way. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that was more to do with having to just back out of the run there rather than getting confused.
You know what, it just didn't look like he had the confidence in the handling of the car at all.
No, certainly not, and with a big drop of rain like that, there's probably nothing that Abdelhadi could really do about that at all. A 34.3 on his first run and a 0 on the second, and it looks as though he shut that car down and may need recovery assistance to get off the track. So unfortunately the end of Abdelhadi's weekend, and we won't see him compete for the rest of the afternoon.
Nope, and one driver remains in qualifying, and that is Tomas Falvi, the 30-year-old construction. Let's just say construction.
He's just a
he is
a
construction. In Ireland, he is.
So we believe, well, we've been introduced to, I forgot his name now. Who is he?
Nathan,
Nathan.
that's the guy.
He's down with Lee Scott, your
top qualifier
so far.
Where Mr. L. Scott, don't know what the L stands for, but when I add him on Facebook, I'll be sure to find out. And we were going to have a quick chat with him. He's been currently chatted to by this large man who looks very intimidating. I'm going to wait until he's finished. And he has left. How are you feeling in first place?
Not too bad. First day out in the car here. Everything's going well. A couple of test days and a couple of teething problems, but everything seems to be working all right now, so just going to go for it.
So in your first run, it was different conditions to your second run. You pulled a 93 in the first one and a 0 in the second one. Was that due to the weather conditions changing? What was it? Or were you just thinking, I'm in the lead anyway, ain't no one going to beat my 93, I'm going to go out here and I'm going to pull a 0 just to show them that I can?
Well, first one out was sort of dry, it wasn't too bad. Coming to my second run, I thought, here, what is there to lose? So I went out and tried a bit more faster, Anthony, but the rain sort of caught me out and 4 wheels off. So here, it happens.
Now you seem calm, you seem cool, you seem collective, your hands are in your pocket. You look like you're a man that's full to the brim with confidence. How are you going to feel into the next part of this Drift Championship in just a little while?
I say it's a new car, a new engine and a pedal box and stuff into it. Things just a lot different, brakes wise and whatnot. So every day is just a learning day for me here. Whatever I get, I get. I'm happy to be here. The weather just won't be great today, but we'll work with what we have.
Excellent. Well, there it is. We're here with our current leader, L. Scott. What's the L stand for? Is it Liam?
Lee.
Lee. I was nearly there. Just a couple of names out. But next time we'll be back with you, I'll be sure to remember. That's the current winner with a 93 here for the BDC. We'll be back with you soon. Back to you, Edward.
So yeah, somebody really needs to educate him on how the sport of drifting works. But Lee Scott pulling a 0.
He pulled a 0 just because he can.
Just because he can.
Listen,
So-
Eddie, I've told you earlier, you need to give him a break. You know, you just give him a go. He's a nice lad. You know, he's got potential. You just don't like him because he calls you Edward.
Interns.
Interns. So we're just waiting to get Saud Al Hadi off circuit. Unfortunately, it looks like Saud Cars has got a brake locked on. So we're just trying to work out, and we're going to get him off circuit at the moment. You can just see that car stranded there. Having to use the teleporter now to lift the back of that car up to get it off the circuit.
So with only one driver remaining, we can be pretty accurate about how our top 32 looks so far. So we might just take a quick look at that while there's a break in the action. Just to give you guys an idea, as you can see there, just spoke to Lee Scott, who sits in first position with a very impressive 93. Ryan Caldwell in second position with an 82, a full 11 points behind. Just goes to show Lee Scott really the man to beat at the moment. In third place, Christian Burkhoffs with a 79. Fourth place for Martin Cowley with a 76. Oliver Bolton with a 75 in fifth position. Sixth place for Philip Hayden with a 74.3. Thomas Kirkwood, a 73 in 7th position. Stuart Egdal in 8th. Damien Wilkinson jumping into 9th position after that very impressive 70.3, with Dan Tyler sitting in 10th on a 70. In 11th position, it's Hayden Quickshank with a 69.7. 12th position for Matt Walker also with a 69. 13th for Adam Elder. Again, another driver on a 69, and we spoke in earlier about how close some of these scores were going to be. Dominic Gates scored a 68.7, which was enough to see him into 14th position, with Jake Rolls jumping into 15th with a 67.7. 16th position is Charles Funnell. 17th for Alexis Strew. 18th, Alistair Stair, and he's on a tied score with Lewis Barker. So the judges will have to split those two, and that'll be done after qualifying. 20th position for Richard Dalby Smith with a 61.3. 20th position for Ross Barr with a 61.3. 22nd. So 22nd position for Richard McCourt. 23rd for Stephen Fitzgerald. He's tied with Kirsty Widrington, who had that very impressive second run at 58.7 for her. Lewis Mitchell in 25th position. He scored a 55.7. Tomas Falvey, the only man who can disrupt the leaderboard as it stands. Our last driver remaining to go currently sits in 26th position with a 55.3. He is inside that top 32 and has qualified as it stands. So his final run technically means nothing unless, of course, he's to top the qualifying or just bump himself up the order. In 27th position, again, tight scores for Ronan Catterson and Andy Arnott, a 52.3 on the board for them, with Carl Ferrar sitting in 29th position with a 51.3. 30th position is Andrew Earl, and our final two qualifiers, Paul Beachy in 31st position and Justin Griffiths in 32nd position with a 43.7, just scraping into that top 32 by 0.4 of a score.
Yeah, I mean, very, very tight, like you said, Eddie, and a lot of drivers tied for positions. And it just goes to show you the level of driving, the consistency, and how well these guys have adapted to this circuit. But the rain does continue to fall here around one of the British Drift Championship Pro-Am day. We have one driver left to go on the line, and that is Tomas Falvey, Mr. Construction from Cork in Ireland. Can he go out and pull a zero, as my mate Nathan says? We're about to find out. Tomas Falvey sends it off the line, nice and tentative into clipping point 1, now keeps it nice and wide through 2.
Yeah, this looking nice from Falvey, nice and controlled. Big angle as he comes around that first corner. Can he take it out to the wall? Well, he certainly gets that rear end into the clipping zone, which is nice, hugging the white line. This looking good from Falvey. Falvey might be praying that it stays wet here because absolutely on it, missing a clip, but you know what? Other than that, this has been practically perfection from Tomas Falvey as he crossed the line.
Oh.
Little tap of the wall just for good measure. Put your hands together for Flavor Falvey.
Yeah, Tomas Falvey, they're doing a very tidy job. Apart from dropping clipping point 5.5 and 6, you know what, it was nice and tidy, and you know what, a good consistent run there from Falvey. So just going to go to our Samco Sport replay, I think, for the wall run. Yeah, look at this from Falvey, precision.
Yeah. Samco Sport really seem to enjoy a good wall run.
They love a wall run. Look at that.
Look at that, red paint.
Paints a line on the wall, perfect.
Just as that little bit of evidence that Falvey was here 2018.
2018. So we await for the score to drop in for Tomas Falvey, and that will cap off qualifying here at round 1.
The question is, can this go top?
Could this go top? Could someone not least? No, unfortunately not for Tomas Falvey. 66.3, so he does bump himself up the order ever so slightly, but that is a top 32 done and dusted, Eddie. And that's it, qualifying over. We now head down.
Yeah, well, we're going to see a small bit of pro practice here, so the pro guys are going to come out and get a little bit of, hopefully, what they won't need tomorrow, which is wet driving practice. We may leave a camera running, a static camera, just so you guys can get a little taster of the action to come tomorrow, but we will be back this afternoon for top 32.
Yeah, top 32. We will kick that off at 3 o'clock, but before we go, we obviously have to say a massive thank you to all our sponsors. AMD Details, Brian James Trailers, Cosmis Racing Wheels, Funk Motorsport, Jap Speed, JDM Distro, Link ECU, Monster Energy, M-Tech Brakes, Samco Sport, Simpson Race Products, VP Racing Fuel, and Zestino Tyres. Eddie, without those guys, none of this would be possible, and none of you guys that can't make it or that should be here we'll be able to see the live feed at home. So yeah, massive thank you to all of our sponsors. And like we say, Eddie, we'll be back here at 3 o'clock with all the action of top 32 Pro-Am of our 2018 British Drift Championship. Things are heating up. It's time to get this party started.
We'll see you then.